we have a few more people joining us, but I want to start to ease into our time together, and they'll be joining shortly, I'm sure. So I'm curious if you can respond in the chat box for me. Have you ever experienced performance anxiety symptoms like getting really sweaty when the spotlight's on you, or heart racing? Have you ever experienced performance anxiety symptoms? You can put yes or no in the chat box. Welcome, Marcella. Yes, Michael says, yeah. Sweating and blank out. Yeah, Sonia, totally. Lots of yeses. Everybody's saying yes. Okay. And so have you found that those symptoms have been going on for a long time? This is like a follow-up question. They've been going on for a long time, no matter how much preparation you have and no matter how much you do to try to relax yourself. Give me another yes exclamation point in the chat box if that sounds like you. Okay, my whole life. Suzanne, I hear you. Yes, yes. Okay, then we are in the right place for what we're up to today, which is all about how to unravel that performance anxiety so that you can communicate with confidence, of course, but especially as an introvert, how to communicate with confidence. And that's a new theme that I'm bringing into my workshop today. I think all of my clients actually are already introverts. It's just that calling out that word creates an interesting new learning opportunity. So as we dive in today, I want to share with you a little bit about myself, and then we'll talk about what we're going to do today. So I founded Speak to Inspire training programs about 6, maybe 7 years ago. And I am the creator of the Fully Expressed Mentorship Program, which actually Darshan is in. And several of my clients in the past have included TED and TEDx speakers, but most of my clients are probably more like all of you. They're professionals or entrepreneurs that speak in environments that are high stakes to them. So that could be meetings or conferences or sales pitches or interviews, etc., that are really important to them. And yet they're blocked by self-consciousness, perfectionism, spinning up in their head with that inner critic, and not able to really share their expertise and shine all the confidence that they have. So I've also facilitated in the past, before COVID times, as a corporate public speaking trainer for thousands of different, thousands is a big number, actually, I mean hundreds of different companies, including LinkedIn, Salesforce, Twitter, et cetera. And I used to, though people don't think of me this way, I used to struggle with my own performance anxiety a lot. And people don't usually think that I'm an introvert, but I want to call that out right from the beginning of our time together. Like, I'm very introverted. We'll be doing a quiz later to really test if you are an introvert or how much of an introvert you are. So look out for that. Sarah's here. Great, we've got one more person coming. I'm definitely introverted, though I sometimes come off that I can be more extroverted, and that's because I have training as an actress. So I learned about how to transition into that being on, as well as later in my life, I was a yoga teacher and I got into mindfulness and meditation and everything. And I started to see how I could use that nervous system regulation that I learned in yoga and meditation to support me with my performance. And that's the culmination of what we're doing here, how it all connects. So I want to get everybody's voice in the room. We're all here now. I think pretty much everybody's here. We might have 1 or 2 people here. So what we're going to do in a moment is have everybody unmute all at the same time and say hello and say your name, just simple, so that you can all hear each other's voices as if we are in the same room, which we are in the same virtual room today. Go ahead and unmute yourself now. Unmute yourself now. And when I count down to 1, say, hi, my name is, and say your name. Yeah, ready? Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hi.
My name is
Michael Shanks.
Yay. Oh, that's so cool. I love hearing everybody's voice at the same time. And let's hear where you're from. I heard a little bit at the beginning, but where are you located, Nadine?
Half Moon Bay, California.
Half Moon Bay. I'm in San Francisco. Suzanne, where are you located?
Connecticut.
Great. And Michael, where are you located?
Portland, Oregon.
Portland, Oregon. Sonia, where are you in the world?
Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
Wow, we're all over the place today. Darshan, where are you?
Oakland, California.
Great, got some Bay Area people. Marcella.
Marin.
Yeah,
Bay
great,
Area.
great.
Yeah.
Yep, and Sandra?
Oakland, California.
Okay, we've got a lot of California people, but also some people all across the country. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for all that you did to carve out this time for yourself this morning or this afternoon. That you put aside this time tells me already that you value your well-being, first of all, but that you also value what you have to say, and that you have something to say first and foremost. Like there's something that you want to get out into the world, and it's really important to you, and that's really inspiring to me. What I've found is that introverts, or the people that are more quiet and shy, generally have the most important, impactful things to say, and they're often waiting for the opportunity, the permission, the validation to bring it forward. And just the fact that you chose to be here tells me that you are valuing your voice yourself, which is a huge step, huge first step. So thank you for all that you did to get yourself here. I'm really passionate, as you might be able to tell so far, I'm really passionate about the power of performance training to not only develop actors and actresses, but to develop people, develop you into the best version of yourself, the version of yourself that's most willing to shine and share the essence of what you have to offer into the world. So I'm really passionate about that, and that's what we're going to be up to today. So I'm going to share my screen with you to go into what we're going to talk about today. Where'd it go? Okay, let me find this real quick. Okay, get back to the beginning. There we go. All right, that's what we're doing today. That's what we're here for. Let's go to the next slide. Yeah, there we go. What we're going to be talking about first is the symptoms of performance anxiety that you have, really understand those, and a teaching about how your nervous system works and how that relates to performance anxiety. Then I'm going to go into the why, which is around the introversion thing of why introverts have performance anxiety more often. And we'll learn a lot about introversion there. And then we're going to get into the how. That'll be a pretty big meaty section of our time together, where you'll learn 3 tools to communicate with confidence as an introvert. And FYI, during that 3rd section, there will be opportunities, though they are optional, for a few of you to come forward in front of the whole group to speak for about a minute to a minute and a half about something that you're an expert in, and to receive feedback and laser coaching from me. Like I said, those days are optional. So if it's not something that you want to do, there's no pressure around that. I just want you to know, as a heads up, my introverts out there, that this is an option for you today, and that it is an opportunity, really. So notice, even when I put that opportunity out there, what arises in your mind, what comes up in your body. Are you like, oh yeah, I want to be that person that gets the opportunity to speak? Or are you like, oh no, I'll let everybody else go, and maybe if there's time, I'll maybe raise my hand. Marcella's like, I think that's me. Yeah, so just notice that that's probably the same relationship you have to opportunities in your day-to-day life, work life. We have people coming on in. Welcome everybody. Welcome Janet. Welcome Janet, and who just joined? I think it was Christina that just joined. We'll check in with you in just a moment. So that's what we're going to be doing today. And FYI, if you are hoping and wanting some more one-on-one time, one-on-one attention around your performance anxiety and how to navigate communication as an introvert, just know that I'll be inviting you to a next step at the end of this call, or the end of this workshop, so that you can get that kind of support. So that is coming down the line. All right, you are in the right place for this workshop if you have important talks or meetings coming up and you want to bring your best, but you have a history of performance anxiety that's been stopping you and making it really uncomfortable to go into those important talks and meetings. Yeah, but it's important to say that you're also in the right place if you're not on stages or in leadership positions, but know that you have something important to say and you want to free your voice. Like I mentioned earlier, I've had clients that are TED and TEDx speakers, but I have a lot of clients that just speak in small meetings at their company. And I don't even want to use the word just there. It's not a just. They speak in small meetings and those are important. Or they run interviews or do one-on-one sales calls. Or they're mothers that really want to have a stronger voice with their kids. They could even be, I've had women hire me that want to be more confident in their relationships to speak up for themselves. So there are lots of situations that you could be in that this would be helpful. And so that leads me to my first misconception. I'm going to be sharing a few misconceptions throughout this talk. The first misconception is you have to have speaking gigs and big aspirations to work on your public speaking skills. Usually people wait until they have an important event to really work on their public speaking skills. But the truth here that I've found is that public speaking is any high stakes moment according to you, any visibility opportunity according to you. So start to think about what are the things, the moments when I speak and express myself that are really important to me, that matter. That might already be on the top of your mind, but we're going to take a moment now to get really clear on that. So I'm going to put into the chat box our worksheet for today. Where's the chat box? There it is. Okay, I'm going to put this into the chat box. Please grab this link and open it up in your browser. This is the Communicate with Confidence worksheet that we'll be going through today. And you can just use this as a guide and take your own notes. I think you can write in this. So do whatever you'd like with this. It'll be our guide today. Because our next thing to figure out is what's your spotlight? What's your spotlight? Does everybody have that worksheet? Anybody lost with that? Yeah. Okay, feel free to use the chat to let me know questions or things that you need. Okay, and the first question in that worksheet is what is your spotlight? So reflect now, what is it for you? Where do you want to express yourself more? Where do you want to bring a louder, bigger, bolder voice? Oh, welcome, Christina. Now I see your face. Great to have you here. Yeah. I'll give you a moment to clarify that. And here's the chat. Michael having trouble accessing the worksheet? Anybody else having trouble? No? Okay. Were you able to get it, Michael? Make a copy, Christina says. That sounds good. Yeah. File, make a copy, then you can write on it yourself. Yeah. And also, if you can't access it, it's not the end of the world because I'll be guiding you through everything today. Okay, well, I'd like to ask you to now write into the chat box, what is your spotlight? What came to mind for you of these important places that you're going to be communicating and expressing? Write that into the chat box now. Got it, Christina. Yeah, you're doing a lot of great stuff on Facebook and Instagram. You are shining and showing up there beautifully. That's definitely the place for you. Janet, teaching and communicating with family. Yeah, great. Oh, I want to hear more about that. Yeah, Sandra, meetings with cross-functional stakeholders. Yeah, that sounds intense. Suzanne, I really want to feel more comfortable doing Facebook Lives. Yeah, this is a huge thing, right? It sounds so simple. I just go live, right? I can do it anywhere, anytime, but it's scary. All of a sudden there's that red dot. I know. Sonia, social media and online promoting my blog. Great. Yeah, this is intense too. Same thing. Nadine's clients, my priestesshood. Ooh, I want to know more about that. Leading rituals, video speaking on Facebook and Instagram. A lot of this social media stuff. Got it. Darshan, simple day-to-day moments in the workplace. Yeah, that's where it is. Yeah, those really matter. Michael, committee presentations with senior management and answering questions they have. Great, thank you, Michael. So that tells me there's a lot of impromptu speaking and sometimes you're off the cuff, not prepared, right? Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. This really helps me get to know what you guys are needing. And there's gonna be time throughout our session there's going to be plenty of time to interact and ask your questions. And so just know that this is the baseline. This is the foundation for all of our work together today, that this is the spotlight you need to focus on, right? So everything's going to be in relationship to that. Okay. Moving forward, the next thing we're going to explore is, what are your challenges in relationship to this spotlight? I'm going to bring us off of share so that we can connect about this a little bit. What are your challenges in relationship to that spotlight? You know, you press go live, or you press start meeting, or I don't know if you're in person and you walk into the room, you know, the same kind of thing. What comes up for you? Take time now to think about the challenges. They're often like they're happening and we know that they're uncomfortable, but you might not have stopped and taken the time to say, this is my pattern. These are the challenges that come up, the concerns that I have over and over again, the physical symptoms I have over and over again. So take this time, about a minute, to journal about that, reflect about that, and then I'll invite you to share in just a moment. That's fine, Marcella. The question is, what are your challenges that come up when you're in the spotlight? Yeah. Okay, just a few more seconds to think about that. All right, and I know that you're all still reflecting, but some of you seem like you might be wrapping up. So if you feel complete with this, would anyone like to share what they're noticing, what's becoming aware about their challenges? Christina, I see your bright eyes. We didn't get to hear your voice earlier either, so I feel like hearing your voice.
Sure.
Hi,
Sure, I'll
Christina,
go.
welcome.
Nice to see everyone. So what comes up for me, I have that I stumble over my words. I have that like blank brain happens. My heart races, just like pounding out of my chest. My face turns red. I get a little shaky. And I notice I start to rely on ums and fillers, and that kind of perpetuates the cycle.
Wow, thank you so much. That was actually so
Yeah.
much clarity that you had about specifically what happens to you. Give her a thumbs up or a heart with your reactions if you can relate to anything that she just said. You have these reactions on Zoom, so you don't even have to unmute yourself. Or yeah, I like the physical thumbs up too, Nadine. That was great. Yeah, thank you so much, Christina. Yeah, I mean, I'm smiling about it, but also, Christine, I gotta say, like, it sounds really uncomfortable, and I'm sorry that you go through that, right? And don't we all have those kind of uncomfortable experiences? Who else would like to share about what are your challenges that come up in the spotlight?
I have the same challenges that
Yeah, Janet.
like I know I have the information and the skills and the information I teach, but once like students come into the room, I kind of do the same thing. I almost feel like I have to play a role instead of being myself.
Uh,
And then I just kind of freeze up, and then I act like I'm not myself almost. And I get the same thing where like my mind goes blank. And
Yeah.
like, yeah, I present a lot and I do a lot of workshops and teaching. And I think a lot of it for me is I teach seniors, like senior citizens, like really much older people. And I think, who am I? Because they probably have lived so many more years and had more experience that it just feels like I'm faking it.
Mm.
Like maybe with a younger group, I really could feel like I have more ability to communicate and share in a more confident way, maybe.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing, Janet. Give her a thumbs up or a reaction here if you can relate to that. Yeah. Yeah, everybody. Yeah, so many things that you said, Janet, I understand and are so similar to what I hear with all my clients too. You were talking about you're working with older people, and maybe if you were working with younger people, you would have more confidence. But I hear the same thing about different kinds of audiences. I'm speaking to my boss. If I was speaking to my peers, I would be more comfortable. I'm speaking to a large audience. If I was speaking to one person, I would be more comfortable. There's a million ways to spin that, or stories that we can have around what would make us more comfortable. And so just start to notice that, and I hope today maybe you could debunk it a little bit and claim this audience that you have that is really needing your wisdom. And I can tell you care about it too, as you're talking about it, care about these people.
I love that you said stories.
Yeah.
But they're just kind of stories, I guess, we tell ourselves that maybe aren't true.
And I say that because I've worked with enough people that I've heard a lot of stories. Everybody, like one person is more comfortable in front of a large group. One person is more comfortable in front of us one-on-one, but it's something that's going on in your head. So we'll work on the mindset work today. We're starting that already, right? Really good awareness there, Janet, and willingness to look at it. Last moment here. Anybody else want to share their challenges? Yeah, Martella, please.
Yeah, I think it's very similar to what's already been shared, but I also feel like I'm gonna faint.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for bringing up that physical symptom. Christina had a lot of physical symptoms that she mentioned as well. And I'm going to be explaining why that is in a moment, but just to say it briefly, like our bodies have these very strong unconscious physical reactions, which we call performance anxiety, right? And things like fainting or feeling wobbly or flushed or sweating, heart racing, shallow breathing, all of that is a psychosomatic symptom of something happening on the inside of these stories, like we said with Janet. So give Martella a thumbs up or a clap if you can relate to what she just said. Sometimes feel like fainting. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Okay, to build off of this, what is anxiety and what is performance anxiety? I want to start with this definition so that we're all on the same page. This is my definition of anxiety. Anxiety is a fear of the hypothetical future based on something that's happened in the past. Yeah, let me say that one more time. Anxiety is a fear of the hypothetical future, hypothetical being the key word there, based on something that's happened in the past. So that goes back to the stories that Janet was mentioning, right? Hypothetical future, I'm making up a story of how the future might go. And usually it's a fatalistic one of everything going bad. And it's because there's been moments in my past that something that didn't feel good happened that I'm afraid will happen again. Are you tracking this with me? Is this making sense? Yeah, because it's a big concept. It's sort of complex, and it's going to be very unique to you. You're going to have a very unique story for this. So what is performance anxiety? It's any kind of anxiety that about hypothetical future based on the past, that's about a moment that you need to perform. But I don't necessarily mean being on a stage. It could be a high stakes moment where something needs to happen quickly. It could be a moment if you don't make a decision, things are going to go bad. Any moment that there's something at stake that really matters to you becomes performance. Yeah. So I don't know. Could it be? It could be a big meeting. It could also be a one-on-one meeting with somebody where you need to fire them. I don't know. It could be something that is really sensitive and brings up your fears. This is what performance anxiety is. And it shows itself through physical symptoms in your body, or at least that's really where we can know what's happening, because it's harder to track what's happening in our mind. You can more track what's happening in your body. So if you didn't already in the last prompt about what are your challenges, think about what are my physical symptoms of performance anxiety. Do you tend to get shaky? Some people tend to get shaky. Some people tend to get really tense. That's like a spectrum. Some people are really sweaty. Like I worked with a client once that would just sweat through his shirt, just like dripping sweat. Talk about an unconscious response. If he could have chosen to not sweat, he would, because it was so embarrassing for him. Same with flushing in the cheeks. If you could choose not to flush in your cheeks and everybody know and see that, gosh, wouldn't you choose it? It's an unconscious thing. So take another 30 seconds or so to really think back. What are my physical symptoms? This is getting to know your body, getting to know your nervous system. We heard a few physical symptoms already from Christina and Marcella, a little bit from Janet. Is anybody like to share about their physical symptoms and maybe they're different than what's been mentioned before? Anybody? Yeah, Sonia.
I get like really sweaty or like clammy palms. Heart starts racing. Like I get really tense, tight. Sometimes kind of almost feel like nauseous, or like you can feel it like in the pit of your stomach.
Mm-hmm. Gosh, I know. If we could choose to not feel that way, right? It's like, turn that off, please. Yeah, I got it. Give her a thumbs up or a reaction if you can relate to some of that. Yeah. Okay. So as we keep exploring this, we're going to talk more about the nervous system now and about fear. And bring us back to the screen share. Oh, yeah, the next misconception I want to share with you. We gotta get this out of the way in order to talk more about fear and anxiety. A lot of times I find that my clients come to me thinking that there's something wrong with them because they have fear, because they have performance anxiety, that they're alone in that, like they're different than everybody. But as you can see, a lot of people have nerves and fears and panic and anxiety. It's actually incredibly normal. And let me prove that to you with this statistic. It's the #1 fear. And a lot of different studies, if you look at the number of speaking before group, it's 40% of people said they were afraid of that. Whereas the next one is already almost 10% less. It's huge. But if you look down this list, number, I think 7 is what? Death. Death is down there, number 7. Have you heard that Jerry Seinfeld quote? His funny joke that he makes about this, like, if this statistic is true, that means that if we're all at a funeral, we'd rather be in the casket than up giving the eulogy. Now, I don't know, it's sort of ridiculous, but this is what the data says. This is what people report. It's very top of mind, the fear of speaking. It's very normal. Let it be normalized for you instead of feeling that there's something wrong with you. And to go a little further into this, I want to share a story of a study that was done in the 1950s that's called the Dr. Fox study. What they did was they brought in a big audience of people and 2 different speakers to see what really made an excellent public speaker as objectively as possible. So the first speaker that spoke to this audience was a doctor who had years and years of expertise, PhDs, written articles, been practicing for years and years. And he gave a presentation on what he's known for. He was standing behind a podium and wearing his white lab coat and reading from a script. Yeah, so this is our first speaker. Our second speaker is an actor that they hired to read a few articles from a real doctor a few days before and regurgitate it, basically just give a presentation on what he knew, which of course was not as much depth of knowledge. But what do you think the actor did differently? The actor was moving around the stage, connecting with the audience with his eyes, lots of variation and energy in his presentations. And afterwards, the audience is then given a survey. Well, who did you like more? Who did you trust more? Who did you think was more knowledgeable? And what was it about the presenter that gave you that impression? So write into the chat box for me. Who do you think they chose? The actor or the doctor? The actor or the doctor? Okay, everybody's saying the actor. Yeah, overwhelmingly the actor. Yes. Overwhelmingly, they chose the actor. And the statistic that came out of this is what's on the screen right now, that 93% of the communication they were responding to was nonverbal communication. What it says here is nonverbal 55% means the body language, everything they could see of the speaker's body, and tone means what they could hear, the voice, 38% of what they could hear, and then just 7% was the words that the person was saying. Isn't that crazy? The reason I want to bring this up around anxiety and nerves is that when you have anxiety and nerves and panic, they show up in your nonverbal communication, right? They show up in your fidgety hands. They show up in your eyes darting around. They show up in tense muscles and shallow breath and a weak voice. They show up in these things. So it's very important to address anxiety and nerves so that your nonverbal communication can be effective. Now, how many of you spend 93% of your time preparing your nonverbal communication for a presentation? Anybody? How many of you spend 93% of your time or more preparing your content for an important meeting or presentation? Okay, well, lots of hands up on that. Yeah, that's generally the norm, right? We prepare our content. So this is a total mindset shift of what is important, what really matters. Before I go any deeper into this, I want to share with you what's possible. My client, Essie, said that public speaking was her #1 fear, which you might feel the same way. She's a professional who, when I met her, had this quiet, shy persona. She would not really look you in the eye, and she would race through her speaking. And she really committed to doing work on her nonverbal communication, on managing and regulating her nervous system to calm down. And I started to see her then present with smiles on her face, with warmth in her voice, and a willingness to say yes to presentations, yes to opportunities. And then she had this opportunity come to her to present in front of 400 people. My gosh. And she said yes and had so much fun. So it's really possible to see a change in this. If you have thought maybe like, oh, I can't, like there's something wrong with me, like I said, it really can shift. And similar with Dora, like when she came to me, she could barely hold my eye contact while she spoke. There was also some social anxiety, I would say. And so she worked on being able to stay centered. That's a nervous system regulation thing, and we're going to talk about it in a moment, of being able to stay present, even though she was nervous, to calm herself in the moment, and to be really aware of how she used her body and her voice. And I saw her blossom. She's a teacher, social justice activist. That's what I mean. She got out there and started sharing her voice, and all this bold, like, she's so passionate, and it's just started to flow out of her. It's beautiful to see. I can't wait to hear some of your voices later in our time together. So as we explore this a little bit more, this will be a time to reflect on what your nonverbal communication does. Let's get a little more public speaking technical. Yeah, I'm going to come off of the screen share. What happens to your nonverbal communication that gives away your nervousness, anxiety, or panic to your audience? You can reflect on that for a moment, and then when you're ready, I'd love to hear from a few people.
Something that comes to my mind right away is I do a nervous laugh.
Yeah, that's really common. Laughs or smiles. Yeah. What else? Yeah, Nadine.
Oh, I am unmuted. Hi. I would say a lack of eye contact and dissociation. Fillers, dissociation, lack of eye contact. It's just
Yeah.
Gotta be obvious.
I'm so glad you brought up the word dissociation, because it's sort of an intense, deep word, but it totally is what happens with performance anxiety, or like we're not really there, out of our body experience kind of thing. So yeah, I totally get that. Anybody else? What are the ways that your nervousness shows?
I think in impromptu speaking, say in front of a committee or something, I find myself overselling sometimes, like seeking their approval and maybe not saying what I meant to say going into it, if that makes sense.
Yes. So maybe circling around, saying the same thing a few times. Yeah, looking for that approval. Thank you so much for calling that out, Michael. That makes a lot of sense. Oh, I forgot to do this before. Give him a thumbs up if you can relate to that. Yeah, thumbs up. Yeah. Lots of people can relate to that for sure. I can too. Okay, so let's go deeper into understanding the nervous system. This will be a meaty teaching point here, where we talk about the perceived threat that's happening that causes your nervous system to go into a survival mode, which is an anxiety state. Yeah. These pictures here, a tiger is chasing the little boy, sort of, and the little boy is in a freeze state in his nervous system. Look, I mean, this is how you might feel on the inside, just like this little guy, right? Frozen on the inside. If you really expressed what it felt like on the inside, I bet it would look something like this. Oh, that's what's happening in our nervous system. There's these 5 levels of your nervous system. I'm not a neuroscientist or anything, right? But I'm going to give you enough sciencey stuff to help us understand how the nervous system relates to public speaking. So a rest and digest state of the nervous system is when we are in what's called parasympathetic mode of our nervous system, and we are literally able to sleep, we eat in our rest and digest state. We go to the bathroom, we make love, you take a shower, like you're in that very relaxed state where there is not a threat around, and therefore you can do these things. But most of our life, we're in a stay and play state. Stay and play means I'm engaged with something. There's information coming at me. Maybe there's even people that I'm interacting with, but I'm not overwhelmed yet, and I don't perceive a threat, so I can stay and play. But as soon as there's a perceived threat in your environment, which if we talk about communication, could be your boss's grimace on his face, or that person looks bored and is looking at their phone, or I feel scared because what happened last year when I presented, etc. Then your nervous system goes into fight, flight, or freeze, and that's what we're going to explore deeper now. This is called polyvagal theory, and it's all about the autonomic nervous system, which is the sympathetic branch of the nervous system. These are lots of big words: ventral vagal activation, sympathetic activation, dorsal vagal activation, but I'm going to break it down for you. Back to stay and play. That's when you're safe, social, and engaged. It's called ventral vagal activation. Like I said, you can stay engaged with things. There's not an overwhelm yet. Look at this little guy. He's looking out. He can see big picture, right? Isn't that where we all want to be when we're presenting? We want to be able to see big picture, have easy thoughts come into our mind. Yeah. But a lot of times where we end up is more something like this, right? Is fight or flight, where we get mobilized, agitated, and frantic. If I paint a picture for you here, go with me on this visualization. You are a zebra on the savannah, yeah? And over on one side, you see a lion who is sleeping, and you can even hear their breath and the sort of purring, and they're turned away from you. And on the other side, there's a lion sitting on its haunches, looking at you with intensity and leaning forward into its front paws as if it's about to move forward. Now, which lion do you pay attention to? Right? We pay attention to the one that's looking at us, right? For sure. And that's where the fight or flight response starts to come from. I perceive a threat that's happening over there. And then I make a decision. Can I fight this threat? This lion, oh my gosh, can I get dominance over this lion as a zebra? I make a quick decision. No, I can't. I can't get dominance over this lion. So I go into flight response. And in flight response, all our energy in our body goes to our legs. And that's why you get shaky legs, shaky knees if you're standing, or you get fidgety is another version of this, or another version of flight as a speaker is sort of like subtly leaning back or leaning to the side, having the voice go quiet, like all of this to subtly get away. To our zebra, back to our zebra, the zebra starts to run, right? And the lion runs after the zebra. Now, can the zebra get away? Well, we hope the zebra will be able to get away. But if the zebra can't get away, then it has the option to go into a freeze or faint state where, and animals do this, mammals do this, it drops down to the ground, acts as if it's dead. Its heart rate completely diminishes. Its breathing almost stops, acts as if it's dead. The lion will come up and smell it and think, oh, it's already dead. I don't want it, and walk away. So this has a really good purpose in nature, right? This whole response system is really useful and smart. However, as humans, it's not very helpful. Back to fight or flight, this is all coming from an unconscious state or unconscious place in our minds. Do this with me. Tap the back of your head, right at the base of your skull. Tap that spot. Yeah. So that's where you'd say primitive brain lives. Sometimes it's called the reptilian brain. It's quite small, but it has a lot of control over our nervous system. It's right there connected to your nerves along your spine. Now tap the front of your forehead. This is where your frontal cortex is. This is what makes us adult, mature human beings that can make rational decisions. Like I said, if you could decide not to sweat and shake with your legs, you would. But it's not coming from this part of your brain. It's coming from a survival part of our brain. Give me a thumbs up if you're following me on all this. It's a lot of information. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so fight or flight. In terms of your communication, fight would look something like trying to get dominance over what's in the room with you. For example, you might lean on the table and you might get louder. You might get a little bit more aggressive and yeah. And you might have been in meetings or seen people go into this state where they're in a fight response to get dominance. Anybody experience that? Yeah. It's a little intimidating. It's scary. And well, most of my clients don't go into fight response because they're too nice and too introverted and they care too much about other people and they're very well trained to be polite. But, when you see somebody that goes into a fight response like that, you can have some compassion for them because you might think that they're really confident and intimidating, but they're probably most likely having a lot of anxiety and this is how they're dealing with it. Yeah. More often, my clients go into flight response, which, like I said, is some version of getting away. You can't actually ever fully get away with speaking and communication because that meeting was scheduled. You're going to have that talk, or you're scheduled to be on that stage, right? Or I don't know, your husband confronts you about something and you need to have that talk. Right? So the flight response is a desire to get away, but there usually isn't an opportunity to. So it's going to show up in these really subtle ways that you want to get away. And then the freeze response is going to show up for you probably most of the time if you can't run away fully. Like I said, which you never will be able to fully run away. So it makes sense that your body goes into a freeze response, which will be a lot of the symptoms that you already mentioned. My heart is racing, but I feel stuck. I'm disassociating and I'm blanking out. My eyes glaze over, yeah, any of this is a freeze response, and it's an pretty extreme level of stress for our body, our nervous system to be under. Now, what happens after the threat is gone, after the meeting is over, after the performance is done, etc.? Well, we take a deep breath in, and we have a sigh of relief, and we're like, oh, that's over. And we go right back to stay and play, right? So this is a very fluid thing in our nervous system. My goal for you, this is how I would want you to use this information, is that you notice when your nervous system starts to go into fight or flight, where you feel like getting away, you have that tension start to come up, and you do something to regulate your nervous system right then, so that you don't end up in freeze response, because it's almost impossible to get out of freeze response once you're there until you like extricate yourself from the situation. Yeah. Nadine knows what I'm talking about, I think. Are you thinking of something in particular, Nadine?
I'm just thinking of, well, I was a somatics person, I'm a somatic therapist. So it's all like making sense. And then for me, I'm realizing, so how do I remember to do those things in the moment?
Yeah.
That's what you're going to talk about. But.
I'm going to talk about that. That's a great question. I love it. It's practical. It's concrete. It's really good. Yeah. Okay. So I want to take a moment to pause here from all the information that was an information download there about the nervous system to circle back to you guys and make sure this is making sense. Are there any questions about how the nervous system works and how it relates to performance anxiety? Anybody? Or are you just totally overwhelmed or totally getting it? Okay. Or are you just totally introverted? Okay. Okay, so our next step is going to be to take some time to reflect about what threats you perceive in your environment. Yeah, there's going to be some journaling time here to reflect about the threats that lead you into fight, flight, and freeze. And that's going to be also about the conditioning that you have from childhood, from your family, your culture, your teachers, and then later into your career and the bosses that you had or the colleagues that you had. There's messages you got about what's okay and not okay to express, what's appropriate and not appropriate to express, what's polite and impolite to express. You get it? Reflect about what threats you perceive and what's the conditioning that led to that. This is pretty deep stuff. We're just starting to look at this stuff. I go a lot deeper in my program. I want you guys to have a chance to reflect on it. I'm going to give you about 2 minutes to reflect, and then I'll invite you to share some ideas that you had. Okay, go ahead. Thank you, Sandra. Got it. About another minute to reflect on this. Right. If you feel complete with that, who would like to share? What did you learn about yourself here?
I think I'll share.
Yeah, Janet, welcome.
Thank you. I guess a lot of it for me, when I look back, and I've done this reflections before, I'm in the middle of three girls, the middle child, and I think growing up, my older sister was really popular and really vivacious and really had a lot, she just got a lot of attention. And then my youngest sister was also very loud and active. And I think maybe from an early age, I felt like is I was not really heard because I was quiet anyways, and they took up a lot of space.
Mm.
Even though I felt worthy and I felt like um, I don't know if it was always, it might have been a confidence issue, but as an adult, I feel, very capable and competent and strong and worthy. I think, those patterns set at an early age of like, am I going to be heard? Because of the cacophony of my older sister and younger sister, they were always kind of like really vivacious and open and out there. That may, that's actually I've thought about it before, but this was really helpful because it became more clear to me. And I think like when I'm teaching, I feel like part of me wants to encourage and inspire, and there's a part of me that just wants to be who I am, and I feel like I have to kind of put on this toxic positivity kind of, I don't know, like I have to add to something, add more to what I really am, kind of like I don't know, my teacher calls it toxic positivity, like it doesn't be, because then you're not really authentic with and aligned with who you really are.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, Janet. I like how you dipped into specific things that happened in your childhood. If there's anything you could relate to and just appreciate about what Janet said, give her a thumbs up or a clap or a celebration there. I really appreciated that because you reflected on the difference between you and your sisters. And I wonder if the introversion extroversion thing might play into this. It sounds like your sisters might be really extroverted, like really out there, get energy from being with people, whereas you might be more introverted and need more of that encouragement to bring your voice forward.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So we'll keep exploring that. It's a really good thing. And then what you brought up about authenticity, gosh, that's like a key word that I hear so much of how do I be authentic? What does it mean to be authentic? And then the conditioning that we have inside keeps us within our own little cages too. So makes a lot of sense that this is coming up and feels like a threat of how do I navigate this?
Yeah. Like you're going to listen to me.
Yeah. One more person, who would like to share about what threats you perceive? What's the conditioning that plays into it? What did you learn about yourself? Not required, but I want to make the space for anybody who'd like to share.
I'm happy to share a bit.
Yeah, Nadine, please.
After hearing, oh my gosh, I'm already forgetting the name, not Dawn. After hearing you just speak, I'm realizing the mind is really young. Still really young, which is so funny, as much as I've done and every wedding ceremony I officiate, everyone says, oh my God, that was so beautiful. But the thing inside of me is still very young. I think just growing up in a family where it wasn't okay to speak as a girl. Like it was really, that was my family dynamics. You look pretty and you sit and you be quiet and you be polite, but you don't speak and you don't have an opinion. So it's very, very, so that's kind of the crux of it.
Beautiful. And I love that it just keeps coming back around, right? Even as we go through life. Yeah, I know. Because with every client that I work with, yeah, give her a heart or a celebration. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, gosh, it comes back to those old things that we learned, those early things that we learned. And I'm working with inner child all the time in my like drama therapy work with clients. So it makes a lot of sense that that touches right in on that little girl. Yeah. So she might be very present today. Be gentle with her. Yeah. Thank you so much for taking the time to reflect about that and being, you know, curious about yourself and about your past. We don't go into the past in order to stir things up. That's not my intention, but to notice the patterns that are still dominating today for you or still stopping you today, so that you can become more conscious and aware and make different choices that I think would serve you better and would free your voice more. I want to transition, is a perfect transition from this into talking about introversion, yeah, and how this relates to the nervous system, how this relates to performance anxiety. What is an introvert? You know, that word's flown around. Christina actually has an amazing business that works with introverts to help them have confidence in their businesses, right? Yeah. And so I would love to hear your thoughts on what introversion are. Let me share mine, and then I would love, Christina, for you to share what you think an introvert is. Often what I hear is that introverts get their energy from being alone or being quiet, and extroverts get their energy from being with people and being engaged doing something like that. And I wanted to say that introversion and extroversion is a spectrum. It's not either or, black or white. Yeah. So you could be, I don't know, 80% introverted and 20% extrovert. You could be 60% introverted, and that term ambivert is thrown around as well. And we could all just say that we're ambiverts because we all have extroverting modes and we have introverting modes too. Even strong extroverts need to learn to introvert sometimes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm not here to label you and put you in a box and be black or white about this. However, there's tons of science that also says that there are more introverted people, that their brain chemistry and structure and the way that they are, like, is they're made to be that way, to be more introverted. And there's people that are made to be more extroverted. And that if you can honor your nature and understand your nature better, especially around speaking and communication and performance, then you'll be able to be more effective, right? I want to read you this quote from a book that I've been revisiting for this workshop, The Introvert Advantage: How to Thrive in an Extrovert World. Really good book by Marty Olson Laney. So reading recommendation from this workshop. It is really a quick read. I've reread this whole book in like a week, just in little bits. So really easy read. This is what he says about what's an introvert. We bring important attributes to the party: the ability to focus deeply, an understanding of how a change will affect everyone involved, the capacity to observe, a propensity for thinking outside the box, the strength to make unpopular decisions, and the potential to slow the world down a notch, which I think the world needs to slow down. Don't you? And he says that introverts are different in three main ways in how they generate and create energy. It's a big one. How they respond to stimulation from the outside. So your environment's going to be very important. And that they go more to depth versus breadth. Yeah. And I see lots of heads nodding as I'm saying these things. So give me a thumbs up if you're relating to what I'm reading here. Yeah. Okay. Great. I'm glad this is making sense. Christina, yeah, it is an awesome book. So I want to turn it over to you. I just invite you to unmute and share your thoughts about introversion, since I know this has been a big topic for you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate
You're welcome.
it. My heart is racing a little bit, everybody. So yeah, introversion has really come to the forefront of my mind, and I work in a big company right now and am part of a leadership team, and really noticed that a lot of my introvert cohorts were not getting their voice heard, and they wouldn't speak up in meetings, but had some of the most brilliant ideas out there, and really want like bringing awareness to my organization. And then also I'm expanding it beyond, but it is a lot to do with the energy, like you said. We are our batteries will tank pretty quickly, and we just need that alone time to restore and reflect and connect back. Whereas the more extroverted people are like solar panels. I think that might have been in the book too, where they just get a trickle charge all day from, like, the mailman comes by and they say hi. They're like, oh, yay, I feel good. Whereas we're like, oh no, the mailman, run. So I really identify with that, the energy there. And yeah, I don't know.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. And yeah, I think it's really interesting how you're bringing the introvert conversation into business. I think it's really important. What I loved also that I learned in this book is that there's lots and lots of famous people that are in the spotlight all the time that are really introverted. And I actually experienced that in theater schools. You know, when I went to acting school, if I look back, a lot of my colleagues there were introverted. I wouldn't say that like they were really partiers. The musical theater people were partiers. The like actors were not partiers. They were more introverts. So for example, Diane Sawyer is a known introvert. Abraham Lincoln, Michael Jordan, Michelle Pfeiffer. These people have very successful careers in the spotlight, and yet they are known to express their need for quiet and different energy management than other people in their world. So you're in good company. I'm going to put something into the chat box now for you to grab. I want you to open this link. Some of you might have already filled this out because it was in an email, I think last week, that was like a reminder email for everybody. But if you haven't filled out this quiz yet, we're going to take a moment to do that now. It'll take maybe 2 minutes to go through this quiz. We're going to take a 5-minute break to get water, bathroom, whatever you need. Just take some time to turn off your camera and deal with like, oh my gosh. So you'll have some time to focus your energy on yourself and just fill out this quiz while you're doing that. And when you get your results, which will be a number from 1 to 8, which is your level of introversion. 8 being I'm very, very introverted, 1 being not. Yeah. Put your number into the chat box. Yeah. Okay, let's take 5 minutes. It is 12:06 here in the Bay Area. Let's be back at 12, let's just say 12:15. Yeah, round up. You have plenty of time. And feel free to turn your video off and take good care of yourself. Okay, I'll see you back in a little bit.
I've been seeing the quizzes flood into my inbox. I get an email when people fill out the quiz. So seeing them flood in with numbers, please write your number into the chat box. There's definitely a trend that I'm seeing. Since you're back, Christina and Nadine, anything that you noticed about yourself through this quiz? Anything you learned about yourself?
Maybe a little more kindness to myself, or just, I don't know.
Yeah. Were you surprised by the results?
No.
Yeah, no.
No, thank you though.
Of course, yeah. Sandra says she feels very seen right now. I wish we could see you, Sandra. There you are. Good, good. Doesn't it feel good to be validated by those things? That's what is awesome about this book. And that quiz came from this book, just straight out of here. There's actually a deeper quiz that's like 3 pages long. I think it gives you even more validation. So grab the book to go deeper with that. Okay. Right. I would love as you come back and as you're ready to get started to turn your videos on so that I know that you're ready to get started. Okay, so we've got all the numbers in now. And if you look at the chat box, there is definitely a trend. We're 7s and 8s. I think I was a 7 on there. Yeah, okay. Pretty darn introverted. What does he say? I'm going to pull up the quiz real quick. Self-assessment, here it is. Pretty darn introverted. It's extremely important for you to understand how to keep your energy flowing and how your brain processes information. You relate to life through your ideas, impressions, hopes, and values. You are not at the mercy of your external environment. This book can help you to use your inner knowledge to create your own path. Okay, well, get the book for that. Yeah. Anybody? Oh, Darshan is 6. Okay. Yeah, cool. Yeah, but pretty high up there still. Before we move to the next step, are there any thoughts or reflections about this quiz? I only talked to a few people here. So as you're coming back, any thoughts, reflections, ahas from this quiz? Learn something? Yeah, Suzanne.
I think I was surprised that I was an 8. I mean, I've always been shy, growing up being shy, being quiet my whole life, but I have done a lot of public speaking. And, I have, taught classes and done video interviews and that kind of thing. I think I was just surprised that I was that high up. I thought maybe by this point I would have been a little bit less introverted, but maybe again, that's just like my inner quality.
Right. Right. Yeah, good. So you know that about yourself. It's good. Anybody else? Reflections from the quiz? Yeah. So how does this all connect? Introversion, performance anxiety, the nervous system awareness. Well, I want to read you something else from the book that'll start to bring this all together. He says, I believe the two sides of the autonomic nervous system provide the introvert-extrovert continuum. Although we all engage both sides of our nervous system, our brains and neurotransmitters make one side dominant. Yeah. So of course we all have a parasympathetic and a sympathetic nervous system. Like I was saying, the rest and digest and the stay and play and everything else, right? We all have it. But what was really interesting, the whole chapter goes into a lot more science on it, and I've heard it other places as well, that the parasympathetic nervous system will be activated quicker, faster, more often in an introverted person. Those brain pathways are just more accessible. Like you just get to them faster. So that means that you're going to be a little bit more sensitive to those threats in your environment, just because of how your brain is wired. And therefore, you're going to be more likely to experience performance anxiety than those extroverted people that are always talking loudly at the party, right? It's just something to know. And also make peace with in some ways, right? Like, okay, this is my tendency. What am I going to do about it? Which of course is what we're going to get into now. Like, how am I going to really take good care of myself? How am I going to cultivate my unique voice? Because your voice might be quieter, gentler, but that doesn't mean it's less valuable. So before we go into too many things about exactly what to do, I want you to clarify what your goals and your vision is for yourself. I love this quote. This might be my last quote from the book. He says, introverts come into the limelight because of their quest for work that has meaning for them, an unusual talent, or extraordinary circumstances. Yeah, and that first one might be the most important, work that has meaning for them. So take time to reflect now of why you take the risk to come into the spotlight, why you want to. What's the why around that, and what's your goal and your vision of yourself in the spotlight? We're going to take a minute or two to reflect here, and then we'll do a little sharing again.
Julia, I'm sorry, would you mind repeating those 3?
Yeah. I'm going to put it in the chat box. I have it right here. Yeah.
And typically we go out in the spotlight because of three things. You
What are
said.
those three things?
Yeah.
Oh, right. He said that for a quest for work that has meaning to you, an
Okay.
unusual talent, or extraordinary circumstances.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. To wrap up your reflection there, and then I'd love to hear from one or two people. This is a really important thing. It's going to take more effort and energy for you to put yourself out there. So you've got to clarify why is it worth it? And make it a purposeful thing for yourself. So who would like to share what you learned, what you came up with here? Yeah, Sandra.
I tried to speak. I might look funny because I'm still numb from the dentist.
Yeah.
So I feel there's two different ways. Like one is at work where I don't really want to, but I am kind of pushed into the limelight and I need to talk to people. And then there's also like the personal life where I feel like I have something to share that's meaningful to me. So I feel one, like in my personal life, it's more of a choice, where I feel at work, it's not so much of a choice. It's something I need to do, whether I like it or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at work, you speak in meetings, or where are
Yeah.
you thrust into the spotlight?
It's in meetings usually. I mean, I think what makes me nervous especially is that I need time to process information. And when somebody asks me a question on the spot, I'm like, oh my God, did I understand this question right? Is that what they mean? Think. And I know I'm thinking and I know they're waiting for the response. So I feel it's that makes me very nervous.
Yeah. Oh, I hear you so much. Yeah, I hear this all the time from my clients. I totally get it. It's why I have a little course on my site that's called Impromptu Speaking. It's templates to organize your thoughts on the fly. So it can really help people like us who need a little time to organize our thoughts, to like have a structure they're working through. I totally get that. And this is a powerful vision that you have for yourself, or the why of it all, you know, that you have passion in your personal life that's guiding you. And then you have some obligation or responsibility at work that I can tell you take seriously.
Yeah, I like my work. I mean, it's just I don't have always the answers to the questions, and a lot of times I just don't.
Yeah.
So it makes it difficult to be super confident going into a meeting when I feel like I probably don't have all the answers, or what are they going to ask me? Will I have all the answers? And do I have to have the answers now? And what if the answers are wrong? You know, it's all this that makes me very nervous and not so comfortable to be in the limelight. So I feel if I'm confident about something, it's much easier to speak about things also at work, but a lot of times it's just really feeling things out and negotiating things, and yeah, I'm less comfortable with that.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing, Sidra. Give her a celebration, a thumbs up. You relate to what she said, appreciate what she said. Thank you. Who else would share about why go into the spotlight? What is your reason why it's worth it for you? Yeah, Sonia, I saw your hand first, and then Marcella.
What I wrote down is my goal is to uplift and inspire others to invest time in themselves for their own growth and self-improvement. I want to be able to speak with confidence and being able to articulate what I'm trying to say and being able to think on my toes, so I can get my overall messages across. And to me, it's worth going out of my comfort zone because I used to work in healthcare and I was really good at helping people improve their lives. And I need like another outlet for that. And I have a strong like internal push to do that and share that with other people.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Give her some appreciation. Thank you so much. Yeah, that just sounds like there's so much heart in that, so much care that you have to give. And I'm glad that you're doing the work to feel more comfortable and confident to for others to really receive that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Marcella.
I know for me, because I love sharing my passion in a lot of different ways, but I need a bigger platform, or allow a bigger platform, to really feel more freely. I'm sorry, I had to read what I said. To more effectively and freely inspire and be a voice for the natural world.
Yeah, I can tell you have a strong connection to that. It's a strong value for you, and it inspires you to go beyond yourself, right? And really
Yeah,
reach
I
into
think
the
there's an
world.
urgency now, right? So I'm feeling
Mhm.
that urgency, and I'm standing in my own way, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you're called to speak about this. It's beautiful. Yeah, you need a bigger stage, a platform. Good. Thank you. Give her some appreciation. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to shift gears here into the how section. If you think back to the agenda, this is the how, where we're going to talk about 3 big things with concrete techniques and practical things. The first section is about calming your nervous system. And then we're going to talk about authenticity and your personal visibility cycle. And then we're going to talk about harnessing nonverbal communication. So it's definitely building on everything that we've opened up so far, but I'm going to get more practical. So first, diving into calming the nervous system. I can tell already this group is evolved, if you will. Like, you're already doing things for yourself. You're already taking good care of yourself. You probably have things that you do for stress reduction. Write that into the chat box now. What are your go-to things to calm down, to relax, to release stress? Things like exercise, meditation, dance, walks in nature. You know, what are your things that you already do on a regular basis to relieve stress and calm your nervous system? Yeah, breath, yoga, ground. You mean like grounding? Yeah, walk in nature, baths. Yeah, baths are the best. Yoga and meditation, walking, pranayama. Thank you, Christina. I want to hear what you guys are doing, so I'm going to wait a moment as it comes in. Hiking, Michael, awesome. Getting outdoors is really great. Breath, meditation, nature. Nature seems like a big one for you guys. Rituals, make a warm beverage. Yeah, I know you love your hot chocolate, Starshan. A walk, breath, breathing, meditation, yoga, prayer. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, so you already have some things that you know how to do that work for you. And these are all introverted activities, pretty much, unless you're going for a nature walk with a whole huge group of people, which you might do, but also I bet you go on your own or with someone special to you, yeah, or your dog or something. Yeah, thank you, Sandra. Nature, exercise, breathing. So I want to guide you through a few things that I find are especially helpful to really hone in on the nervous system when that performance anxiety is rising. And they'll be related to what you already know, which is great because that means you're going to get it even faster, but they'll be quicker and easier for you to access than like going for a walk or taking a bath. Things you can do before you press start meeting or go live, right? In the 5, 10, 15 minutes before. That's the key. I'm going to talk more about that in the second section here about the before, during, and after the event thing, but this is mostly about what you're going to do before. I'm going to guide you through some breathing now, and all you need to do is follow my count and stick with your attention on your body. Now, I invite you to lean back in your chair, get comfortable. Actually, I'm on a stool, so I can't really lean back, but Get yourself comfortable. Yeah. Relax your arms in your lap. Take a roll of your shoulders back. And this is going to be a very internal activity, right? Where we draw our attention to ourselves and fill up our inner resources before giving a lot of energy out. I see almost everybody's closed their eyes already, which is fantastic. Go ahead and close your eyes or turn them downwards. You're obviously meditators and comfortable in your inner space. That's great. You can notice right here as you pay attention to yourself and draw your attention back to yourself. How are you doing today? How are you? We're going to go through 4 different levels of checking in with yourself, which will inform our breathing exercise in a moment. How is my physical body? Give a scan from head to toe, noticing your physical body. It's easy to forget. Notice all the different parts. Is there tension? Is there achiness? Is there fidgetiness? Without trying to fix anything, we're just noticing. How is my physical body? And then notice, how is my mental body? What's my mental state? Which is like, well, my mind is racing. It's circling around on one thought over and over, ruminating. It's really spaced out and I can't find my thoughts, etc. What is your mind like today? And then notice my emotional state today. My emotional state right now. If it helps you, you can place a hand on your chest and your heart to let those emotions rise to the surface. Let's say you were about to do a presentation and you're feeling anxious, scared, nervous about it. This is when you would take time, like we talked about with Nadine, to let that inner child, that vulnerable part of you, rise to the surface. So it doesn't have to overwhelm you with symptoms, right? Like you're giving it attention here, letting it know that it's okay. We notice the emotions. Okay, and the last thing you're going to notice here is your overall energy. Give it a number from 1 to 10. 10, I have tons of energy. Throw me up. I'll do my TED talk for you. I'll run a marathon. I have tons of energy. 1, I really just need to curl up in a ball and watch Netflix for a few hours. What's your energy level, 1 to 10? Get to know your energy level. Okay, so all this information you have about yourself, your body, your mind, your heart, emotions, and overall energy. We're going to use breathing to regulate your system, your nervous system, so that no matter where you're at with all those things, you can bring your best to this performance, presentation, meeting, opportunity, hypothetically right now. Follow my count as I guide you through some breathing. Start with a big exhale out the mouth. Through your nose, inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1, and out your mouth for 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Out the mouth for 4, 3, 2, 1. Last breath in for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And out the mouth for 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Pause here, come back to a natural breath and check in again. What's different after just 3 breaths? As you're ready, start to come back into the room by just opening your eyes into your lap, seeing your hands, and seeing the room that you're in, the physical room. And then coming back to our virtual room. As you're ready, write into the chat box what's different after a check-in and 3 deep breaths. Doesn't take very long. Draw all your energy back to yourself. Fill up your reserves. Michael, more calm. That's awesome. More awareness, Nadine. Good. Feeling more clear and more calm. Thank you, Sandra. Darshan, centered. Good. Janet, more focus and clarity. Grounded, Christina. Yeah. Marcella, calmer. Great. Now, I went through that check-in sort of slowly today because I wanted to make sure I introduced everything, but you could go through that in 30 seconds, really quick. Do the 3 deep breaths in 30 seconds to a minute. This is a 2-minute little thing to recenter yourself and fill up your energy reserves. If you're not already doing something like this before you go into a meeting, like Sandra, when you have your meetings at work, if you're not already doing something like this, as an introvert, this is, I think, 101. You've got to be doing something like this in order to have energy for the situation and for the stress it will bring. There's no way around it. An important high stakes presentation will bring stress. Even if you went through my program and you work on all your things, all your conditioning, and we really get you more fully expressed and all of that, it still will be a more stressful situation than everyday life, than you with your cat on the couch. It will be more stressful. So you've got to take good care of your energy before you go into that. Now let's talk more about, I can't see your cat. Oh, is she there? My cats are in the other room sleeping right now. So I gotta have my cat. Yeah. Okay, so as we go a little further into how to manage your nervous system, let's explore your physical body a bit more. What tends to happen with your physical body is either going to be really fidgety and lots of nervous energy, or it could be on the other side of the spectrum that is really tense and taut and rigid. Remember for yourself where you tend to fall on that spectrum. And we're going to do a mini version of what's called a progressive relaxation. Progressive relaxation is a great practice for relaxing tense muscles, to have a deep experience in your nervous system of release. And it does take time to learn how to do that deeply, but this is going to be a mini version that you could do, like I said, before you press go live or start meeting, that can get a quick release of built up pressure and tension. So you're going to need your hands for this. You're going to need a little bit of space to move around. Yeah, definitely no hands on the keyboard, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to tense all of our muscles part by part by part until everything is engaged, and then we're going to release. Yeah. Now follow me. We're going to start with your toes. My toes are in my slippers right now. I'm going to squeeze my toes, and I'm going to feel the whole bottom of my feet engage. Feel everything squish in, and see if you can press into the floor and engage your calves. And I feel then my hips start to engage, my thighs are squeezing together, my legs are completely engaged and tensing in. Yeah. And our hands are going to grip like into a fist. You can even put your thumbs on the inside of your hands to grip everything in and squeeze the arms in. They can press against each other. Yeah. My shoulders are going to go up and engage those muscles. And my rib cage is going to press down, and then tuck your chin in, grip your teeth together. Yeah. And clench up your whole face in a tight scowl of a face, eyes, eyebrows, nose, lips. Yes. And take a deep breath into all this tightness. Breathe in and in. Release all the muscles as you exhale. Give it a little shake. Move your toes, move your head. I want to go through that one more time so that you can track all the different pieces that are tensing and then releasing and have a full experience of this. But what are you noticing already? Anybody noticing a release already? Give me a thumbs up if you notice something changing already. Okay, just wanted to know if this is working for you. Okay, one more time. We're going to engage the toes, the bottoms of the feet up into the calves, pressing into the floor, the knees pulling in together, the buttocks lifting, the belly pulling in, the arms, the hands in a fist, shoulders, rib cage pulling down, chin in, whole face scrunched up. Deep breath in. Hold, hold, hold. Everything relaxes. You exhale. Shake it off. Notice, take a breath to notice and check in what's changed from that very quick, simple thing. Write that into the chat box for me. What did you notice? I feel a little bit more awake. Yeah. Freer energy. Good. Christina, more energy. Great. It's sort of a cloudy day here in the Bay Area. I felt that like coziness of let's stay home and stay quiet. Aware of how slow and low energy I am. Okay, Nindy. Yeah, got it. Janet, more calm and confident. Oh, good. Okay, great. So this is a mini progressive relaxation that you can do for yourself whenever you notice you're either fidgety or tight. It will work for both of those things. There's one more thing I want to share with you. This all builds on each other for calming your nervous system, which is a sigh of relief. Sigh of relief. I already sort of did it with you, right? We squeeze, 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 and then big breath out. But let's emphasize it as a practice in and of itself, because like I mentioned earlier, when you're in a flight state or a freeze state, there's going to be a holding on until the threat passes. So what I'd like you to work on is experiencing and allowing a feeling of relief before the situation is over, right? During the situation or before, you let the pressure fall. You get to have that control and that choice. And this is a way you can do it. What we're going to do is take a deep breath in to our bellies or as deep as you can go, and then let out a sigh out the mouth. And we'll start with just breath. Yeah, you'll feel your chest relax. You can shake out your arms. One more just sigh on breath. Yeah. You might already be feeling some relief. Taking it to the next level, you're going to sigh on sound. I do a lot of voice work with my clients. You know, my background is a voice work as an actress, and then I'm a trained opera singer. So I know a lot about voice work. Voice work is an incredible way to release anxiety and tension. Puts you right in touch with your breathing and also with letting things come out of you, releasing versus containing and holding them on the inside. So that's the goal here. Let the pressure out. Ready? Big breath in. Yes, get some sound. Really let the sound out. One more big sounded sigh of relief. And let's also unmute ourselves so we can all hear each other. Unmute yourself for this last sigh of relief. Ready? Breath in and sigh. There it is. Good. So good to hear your sighs. Thank you so much. So how is that? What did you notice? Actually, you can keep yourself unmuted if you want to share. What's different from our breathing check-in, our progressive relaxation, and our sighing? What's different now? Who would like to share? Yeah, Janet.
Just more present, more connected, less like disassociated.
Good. Yes. My hope is that your level of emergency in your body and your nervous system goes down. Yeah. Good. Anybody else, what it's like for you, what you experience? Yeah, Suzanne.
I feel more relaxed in not only in my body, but like in my thinking too. Like my mind feels a lot more clear. Yeah.
Oh, good. That's fantastic. That's what we need. Yeah. I'm going to put into the chat box now a link to get more practices like this, I have a mini course that I created called the Performance Anxiety Toolkit. That's all about calming practices. That's what it's made for. And it's the starting point, like I said, for handling performance anxiety. You got to start with calming the nervous system. So that's why I created this intro little mini course. So go ahead and grab that. And that'll also be a way for us to stay in touch if you want to be on my mailing list. All right, so now's the opportunity, the first opportunity of our time together, where I'll invite one person to come forward to the spotlight in front of the whole group and speak about something that you speak about in real life, something you're passionate about, something you speak about at work, for about a minute, and receive feedback and laser coaching. This is completely optional, but I want to create these times for you so that you can stretch your limits, right? And so you can get that personalized feedback and support. So who would like to take this opportunity? Who would like to not take this opportunity, but thinks it would be good for them to take this opportunity? Ah, Christina, beautiful. I'm going to bring you forward to the spotlight. Yes, there we go. Okay.
Oh
there she
my.
is. Huge on our screen.
Oh,
Okay.
there it is. Okay.
So Christina, you take a deep breath as you get yourself, orientated to being seen and heard. And how this will work is you'll have, like I said, a minute to a minute and a half. When you get to a minute and a half, I'll just give you a little wave like this, which means start to wrap up, start to find an ending with whatever you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay.
And then we'll check in and do some coaching. Okay, let's
So,
give Christina a big, what are you going to talk about?
Yeah, sorry, what was the topic again? Anything?
The topic is what you want to talk about.
Anything. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would recommend you choosing content that you would actually do in real life, like maybe
Sure.
something you do in a Facebook Live would be perfect for this.
Okay. I think I need just a moment,
Yes.
if that's okay. Okay.
Okay, let's give her a big round of applause for Christina.
All right. Well, hi, everyone. Thank you for your support. So I wanted to share the importance of accepting a compliment and how to accept a compliment, because it's something that we aren't able to do easily, especially for introverts. I've noticed that in my experience working with introverted women, they often have a really a kind of a block or mental resistance to accepting compliments. And that comes a lot from our self-talk and our limiting beliefs. We have low self-esteem, so we're constantly in this cycle of I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough. And so then when we do get a compliment, it actually comes counter to all those thoughts, and we end up in a gridlock in our brain. And when that happens with the introvert mind, it can go a little slower. So we can freeze, not know what to do, or we just quickly say something like, thank you, but, or thank you, and you're better than me, is a common one. So I wanted to just share that when you do receive a compliment, to just pause, let it fill your heart, let it expand through your body, feel the warmth, let it radiate, and say the two magic words, which are thank you. And that's it. That's all you have to do.
Give her another round of applause, everybody. Thank you so much, Christina. Stay here with me, unmuted, and I'll, as I'm talking with Christina here, I invite everybody to flood her in the chat box with appreciation and the things that you loved about her talk just now. Yeah, and so Christina, how was that for you?
It was a little nerve-wracking. I felt the feelings, but I was also I was hyper aware of what I was feeling this time because of what we just learned. So I had that extra magnifying glass on. Oh, I'm shaking. I know what this is. But it felt very good, and it is just helpful ripping the Band-Aid off. The more you do it, the easier it gets.
Yeah, good. I'm glad you took the risk. And And thank you for sharing your expertise with us too. I think I learned something about introversion. And there's lots of great comments coming in here. Michael says, nice job, great advice. I agree. Nadine says, I love it. Thank you. It is important. No matter how much I learn this, I still have a hard time receiving compliments. Yeah, it's a great topic. Beautiful. I loved it. It did not feel impromptu at all. I know it seemed really organized. You had a nice summing up at the end. I loved how you talked about the problem and then gave a solution. You totally lit up. It felt really sweet. Thank you for the advice. Yes.
Thank you.
How does that feel to receive? Yeah, you could
Good.
receive your compliments. Yeah.
Thank you.
Janet says, didn't notice your shaking or any nervous tension at all. Yeah. So sometimes there's an incongruence between inner confidence and outer confidence, like what you feel on the inside and what's perceived by others on the outside. That's an often important thing for people with performance anxiety to remember, is they might continue to feel nervous, but not be showing it on the outside. So what I saw in you, Christina, was you got into your stride about halfway through, where you were really flowing, and I got passionate and impassioned about what you were talking about, and it flowed. It was beautiful to see you in your flow and in your expertise. And I noticed there was a slow startup with that, where you were finding your thought, which is totally fine. And I also noticed that your body stayed a little bit small. And so what I'd like to guide you on or encourage you towards is how to take up a little bit more space with your physical presence. Are you open to me coaching you on that a little bit?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Okay, awesome. And everybody that's here, feel free to do this with me as I do it with Christina, because we can all benefit from this. So Christina, you're already starting to do it, but could you lean back a little bit away from your computer so that your head is over your hips? Yes, which is very upright, right?
Yep.
And I know you're not like set up for a speaking gig or whatever with your computer, but I know you have to look down right now, right? To look at the computer. But see if you can avoid leaning forward towards us. This is sort of like a virtual speaking basic thing. But it also, I think, will help you stay connected to your body and to your center when your nervous system gets riled up.
Interesting. Yeah, cool.
See if you can take a deeper breath here with a lifted spine like this. Yeah, there it is. That's a nourishing breath.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to invite you to speak for about 30 seconds more, just a little, go back into the same topic, and to take deeper breaths while you're speaking. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold up this pink thing when it's time to breathe.
Oh.
Yeah. So when I
Okay.
hold this up, that means you pause and take a deep breath.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Another round of applause for Christina. Yay. Take a deep breath. And make sure to speak on the breath, right? Use that breath to speak. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Can we try it again?
Yeah, deep breath in.
So something else that I would like to share on this topic is more about the introvert brain. And I found this fascinating. It's from that book that Julia shared, that we are actually wired to speak. Our brain flows actually differently through our brain. So introverts take a little bit longer to respond because the pathway of the blood in the brain goes on vacation in the frontal lobe, and then it comes back. And then we can speak our words, whereas extrovert brains, they get the stimulation, it goes right up to the middle and then shoots right out their mouth. So they are more quick to be able to respond to conversation or questions more quickly. Pretty fascinating.
Good. Awesome. Give her another round of applause. Thank you so much for going back into that. Again, I learned something. You're awesome. But what was different for you there? And as I talked to her, guys, write into the chat box what you saw was different in her the second time around. Yeah, what was different for you, Christina?
I would say definitely sitting upright had a different energetic feel. It was more stable, and I was once again hyper aware of like my tendency to lean forward.
Yes.
I think I do that a lot in my meetings at work too.
It's really easy with virtual speaking for sure.
Yeah.
And the breathing?
that was helpful. It felt a little strange, just like how, I don't know how to use the exhale to like speak. I think that just needs more practice, I guess. But
Yeah.
it was a great reminder because it helped me slow down a bit. I think I was starting
Yes.
to speed up, and then it was like, oh, just calm down.
Yeah, good. Oh, that's great awareness. Totally. When you were leaning back, I felt that you were more the expert. That was my perception. And also, you seemed more solid in yourself. When you took a deep breath, your voice had so much more volume instantly. And it seemed like you were able to find your thought more fluidly. It just came right to you. So you're right, it slowed you down. It gave you a moment to reconnect to yourself when you take a more conscious breath. And just FYI, this is a little like voice training that you can't speak on the inhale. You can't speak on the inhale, right? You can't speak on the inhale. You can only speak on the exhale, right? So when we speak, we're exhaling. And that's what I meant by inhale and speak on the exhale. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Thank you so much for being a guinea pig here. Thank you so much for taking the risk to share your knowledge with us. And I think we all learned something and got something out of it. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yay.
Thank you. This was great. Thanks, everyone.
Move that spotlight. Okay, bring myself back. Awesome. That was really cool, right? To see Christina speak and use the stuff that we just learned. She did so well. What did you guys learn from watching her and from me coaching her? Did anybody learn anything, ahas for themselves? No, nothing. Michael.
I learned that it was it's okay to collect your thoughts and take a breath and kind of maybe slow down a little bit rather than try to get your thought out all in one exhale like I'm doing right now.
Yes, good. Yeah, you can use your breath in combination with your words and your thoughts to slowly and deliberately deliver your message. Beautifully said, Michael. Yeah. Christina says, I was definitely shaking like a leaf. Oh, gosh. And Sandra says, I was more focused on the content because it was very compelling. Okay. Yeah, the content was compelling. And as she found more of her confidence, I think the content came more forward too, right? It was easier to capture the content. And Nadine says, it helps to integrate coaching. Got it. Yes. Yeah, to bring the breathing practice that you're going to do beforehand into the actual speaking, right? They don't have to be separate things. A lot of my clients do mindfulness exercises or meditation, and they think it's a separate thing that you do, but actually you need to be breathing and breathing deep in a way that feels nourishing and relaxing to you while you're speaking. You know, that's something to learn as well. All right, let's transition to the next section, which is about embracing and finding your authenticity as an introvert, which means owning your personal visibility cycle. And this is in your workbook, by the way, of there's some guidance there of what I'm going to go through. Because what we're going to talk about is, this is more of a journaling exercise. What times of day and week do you have the most energy? How much visibility can you realistically manage in a week or a month? And what preparation do you need? I'm going to guide you through those questions in a moment, because what I mean by personal visibility cycle is, like we've talked about, you as an introvert are only going to have so much energy for being extroverted or extroverting. You're only going to have so much energy for it. So if you notice that you're burnt out, overwhelmed, disassociating, that means you're probably running on empty to a certain extent. Running on fumes, you know, in terms of being able to have a full tank from your introverted time. And so how are you going to manage your energy so that you can handle visibility better, so that your nervous system can be more resilient? The practices we just did are going to be helpful for that. They're going to give you more energy, but also getting practical about what are the rhythms that I naturally have. So let's see, what times of the day do you have the most energy? Reflect on that. What times of the day do I have the most energy? For example, I used to do these workshops and master classes in the evenings at like 5:30, 6 o'clock. And I realized I was exhausted by the time it got to be 5:30, 6 o'clock. I was like, I just want to do my cooking and like power down. So this one is the first one I did this for. I started at 11 because that's my best time. So what is it for you? And then after your times of the day, think about your week. When do you have the most energy? When do you feel the most full in your week? Maybe it's on a Monday. You're like full of energy from the weekend, you had time to yourself. I don't know. And then get honest with yourself. How much visibility can you realistically manage in a week or in a month without going into overwhelm or feeling like your nervous system gets fried? I used to teach these corporate trainings regularly. I did a lot of 9 to 5 or 8 to 4 corporate trainings. I'd drive somewhere in the Bay Area to a big tech company and be on my feet all day training this big group of people. And I'm there until probably 6 o'clock at night, and then I have to drive home. Whew, those trainings really, what's the phrase? Knocked the wind out of my sails or something. The next day, I would generally not schedule anything. I needed a day to recover. And as my business grew, which is great, I started doing 2 or 3 of those a week. And it was incredibly hard for me to sustain. I had to really learn stamina, and I had to really utilize the practices that I teach. Thankfully, I don't do those anymore, and I get to work from my home office. I loved those trainings in a lot of ways, but I've learned about my personal visibility cycle. What's yours in your week, in your month? How much visibility can you handle? And then let's talk about preparation and transitions. So what preparation do you need before an important communication or performance moment? I made some suggestions of nervous system relaxation things, and I'm actually going to be guiding you through a warm-up routine in a little bit. So those are going to be my suggestions for before. But my suggestion, like a big arching suggestion, would be before you do something that's energizing and centering. Energizing and centering. Raises your energy level without losing your center. Yeah, we don't want you to be like all over like this, but we do want you to be higher energy than everyday life. You're not like on the couch with your kitties. So higher energy while being centered. So what would that be for you? What do you need to do before? I can't wait to hear what you guys are all coming up with, and we're going to share in just a little bit. So there's a transition from everyday life into your before warm-up routine, right? Warm-up time. There's going to be a transition into that. How are you going to navigate that? Do you need to block off time in your calendar to make sure that you have the time that you need to transition and prepare? Do you need to let other people know that you're going to do that? What do you need to create that transition? And then there's going to be a transition from the before, the preparation time, into the actual moment, whatever it is, your spotlight. So there's going to be a ramp up for you. Like we saw with Christina, she had a ramp up right into, and then she was in her mode, she was in her flow. There's going to be a ramp up for you. And hopefully if you have a strong preparation time, actually that ramp up will not be as much, but just be aware that there's a transition there into the during of that important moment. My recommendation is that during the important communication, you do things that are grounding and soothing. Grounding and soothing. which means that I'm just seeing a note from Nadine. Okay, got it. I think she had to hop off. Yeah. So grounding and soothing. For example, you're in the middle of a meeting and you notice your mind is spinning about what people think of you. You could pay more attention to your feet. You could take a deep breath and let out a sigh. These kind of things would be grounding. They would be about going downwards versus upwards into our head. There's more of this stuff in that mini course that I gave you a little while ago. And soothing is all the gentle things that we talked about earlier with the nervous system. Like a slow, deep breath would be soothing. Something that I often say to clients is such a simple thing, but you can touch the inside of your wrist during a meeting. Nobody would even know. You can try that now. Touch the inside of your wrist. It's really soothing. I'm like, ooh, there's little tingles there. It brings us back to the present moment in a soothing way. But whatever that is for you, what would you need during? And then of course, there's the after. So there's a transition from the important high stakes moment. Maybe you press end meeting and then you transition back into day to day. What would you need to come down from that heightened energy to transition back into introverted mode? And my recommendation is that you do things here that are grounding again, still grounding, because there might be a lot of thoughts that come up of how did I do? I think I really sucked. Oh no, what did they think of me? All of that. So grounding things still. Actually, I used to, after big speaking gigs, I would always wanted a burger or a steak, like something really heavy to eat because it's very grounding. And then also do things that are releasing, that let go, letting that experience go, pass through you. Because it's done. It's done. Gotta let it go. I'll give you another 30 seconds to a minute to reflect on all these things. And then I'd love to hear what's coming up for you and any questions you have. Okay, so how was this exploration for you? What did you learn about yourself and your personal visibility cycle? Just raise a hand or unmute yourself and let me know. Yeah, Suzanne.
I think when you kind of started with this section, I realized that a lot of the classes that I've been, like if I do a webinar, I've been trying to do them like in the evening when people are more available, but my energy is not good at 7 o'clock at night. So
Right.
I'm really reconsidering that. And 11 to 2 is a good, it's my energy is much better then. So I think that's really good awareness for me. I'm always trying to please everybody else, but I really do need to focus on me and what's going to work best for me too, so I can be fully present for the other people.
Oh, that's so well said. Thank you, Suzanne. Give her a thumbs up, or if you relate to that. I so relate to that. Yeah, gosh. And what I learned in this book, and also what I've been really aware of for myself and with my clients, is gosh, we try to be like extroverts. They can just turn it on any moment, right? And we're not. So you've got to be more cautious or mindful of using your energy. And so this is a great awareness, Suzanne. Thanks for sharing. I think that Janet had her hand up. Yeah, go ahead and unmute yourself. Yeah.
Yes, I'm breathing. So I had teached for a couple years ago, I would teach 3 classes back to back, like literally back to back. And I'd have students leaving as the other ones were coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the students were very, had a lot of medical issues and severe, physical restrictions. And so I had to be consciously aware of, how I was working with them. But I know before I went in, like my prep time, like I would prep the classes, they were all different populations, different needs. So I'd have a lot of prep time. And then I would do that whole introverted anxiety, disconnect, go in, the first class would start, and then I'd get in the role, and then the second and the third. And as far as the visibility thing, like at the end, I kept thinking, why can't I just do this? They're only like an hour piece. It's only 3 hours of my day.
Yeah.
Like, why? What's wrong with me? But at the end, I'd be done by like 11:30 in the afternoon. I'd be done all day long. I was fried.
Mm.
You know, I was just like I had no life after that.
Yeah.
I think I was putting in so much energy, and then I know probably a lot of worry about, am I doing this right? Do they like me or whatever? But and then
Good awareness.
and now I'm doing more Zoom, and I've spread them out, and I find it a little bit more easier to, I guess, rest
Mhm.
and digest. And but I'd like to be
Good.
able to do these. I'd like to be like an extrovert and be able to just keep doing them and have no problem.
I know. Wouldn't that be nice? And that's why I started this section by saying it's about your authenticity. And you mentioned that word earlier, Janet. You know, like it's actually authentic and natural for you to need that recovery time, like you said. That's true. And if you try to go against it, you're going to suffer and your results won't be as good either.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
I know.
my whole day before was like anxiety about the classes, and then the whole day after I was like totally spent. It was so hard on myself. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like
Well, you're going to have, sorry to interrupt, there'll be more of those spinning thoughts when the nervous system is dysregulated and your batteries are low, because the mind will just start to spin and you won't have as much grounding or awareness to be able to slow down and relax, right? So all of those symptoms will be worse if we're not following our personal visibility cycle.
And one thing I wanted to add that just was so I feel like I did this for so long, but from the moment I started the classes, like maybe the end of the third class, that whole time I was in flight freeze. I mean, you know what I mean? Like the whole time I'm kind of like checking in, and am I doing this right? And kind of like disassociating. So I wonder what that even did to my system.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it creates ultimately adrenal fatigue if it just goes on forever, to use more of a medical term. This is why we have so much adrenal fatigue in our culture. Yeah, totally.
Letting me share that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Give her a celebration there. Thank you. Last opportunity here about personal visibility cycle. Anybody else want to share? I feel like there was another hand up. No? Okay. Oh, Michael, yeah, go ahead.
I'll just mention that before a big speech, sometimes I spend the time before that trying to cram and put myself in the situation and say, you know, you're going to be, all these things are going to be triggered. You're going to be nervous. You're going to, you know, just be prepared for that. And it actually gets me really even more nervous, if that makes sense. So then by the time I get to the room, I'm totally exhausted and also dealing with all the emotions that are coming up. So I think this has been a good reminder that really before, you know, trust the preparation and spend the time before the speech doing some of these relaxing techniques to kind of get more aware, present, and calm before going into the room. I think that's been a good eye opener for me.
Great. And yeah, I'm so glad you brought this up, because back to that Dr. Fox study that I mentioned earlier, what your audience is going to be responding to anyway is your nonverbal communication mostly. So we cram on our content before going in. It's not even the most important thing, right? And I think it's just a safety blanket. Like if I know what I'm going to say, then I'll be better. But I agree with you. It creates more stress. It gets us up more in our head, and it's really not the most important place to put your energy. So what we're going into in a moment is about a warm-up routine that you can do that has nothing to do with content, to really get yourself ready. But before we do that, let's do another speaker showcase. This will be our last one. We're just going to do 2. So who is hoping that they might have an opportunity to be showcased today? who was not hoping that they was trying to avoid it, but thinks actually now that it's here, it could be a really good opportunity? No? Who's willing? I'd like to really give somebody this opportunity because we have the space and time in our workshop. So who's willing to take the leap? It will feel like a leap. Christina, it wasn't so bad, was it?
No, it's great. And the more you do things like this, the more confident you'll be. So just rip the Band-Aid. You're in a supportive place.
For sure. Yes, definitely a supportive place. Yeah. So I'm curious what's coming up now in all of you that you're not offering to move forward. And if nobody wants to go into the showcase, I'm going to let it go, and that's totally fine with me. I don't judge you at all. But let's take this as a teaching moment, teaching opportunity, and a self-awareness opportunity. What's coming up in you right now that says, no, I'll pass? In this safe, supportive environment where we're here to work on your performance anxiety, right? So what's coming up for you? Who would like to share what's coming up in your mind? Darshan says, I don't have a topic, which I assume is like, I don't know what to say. Okay. Anybody else feel that way? I don't know what to say. Sonia, okay. Yeah, Suzanne. Okay. It is a pretty wide open prompt about what to say. And just to handle that concern for a moment, what to say is going to be something that you already know a lot about. So if you have your own business, I recommend speaking about what you do. Darshan, you could talk about something that you're passionate about. Roller skating, maybe roller blading or whatever you do. You know, something that you do that you're passionate about, that you could talk about easily for a minute and a half, right? That's the topic. That's the content prompt. What other reasons why you're hesitant to go into the spotlight? Can you just share? You can write into the chat box if you'd rather not say it out loud too. Sonia says she feels low energy. Yeah, thank you. That's true. That's honest. Yeah. And yet sometimes when we feel low energy, we have to like go into a meeting or something, and it's a bummer. But that's something I've had to navigate a lot. Is, okay, I'm low energy right now. I'm depleted. How can I show up anyway? Which hopefully you're learning a little bit about. My accent gets in the way at times. Thank you, Sandra. Yeah, I have lots of clients in the Bay Area that have accents. There's people from all over the world, you know, that come here. And they often are very self-conscious about their accents. And yet I think they're very exotic and lovely to listen to. So I'm not worried about that. Marcella, not ready. Yeah, got it. Yeah, anybody relate to the not ready mindset? Like, oh, I'm not ready. I'm not prepared enough. Yeah. I purposely didn't ask anybody to prepare anything. Why would I have done that? Because I believe, this is my philosophy, that that everyone, even introverts, have a wealth of knowledge, expertise, and experience that's at their fingertips, that they can learn to trust that it will flow through them in the moment and relax their nervous system enough to let that happen. It's right there, and they don't need as much preparation as they think. When I prepare for my workshops, I have a simple outline. It's about 1 page, and then I flow. Okay, so last chance. If there's a part of you that's thinking, I'd like to take this opportunity to speak and get coaching, you know, totally low cost expert coaching on your speaking. Michael, I can tell, is like thinking about it. He's flirting with the idea in his mind.
I
don't mean to.
I think that too. I'm looking at him. He's like, I can do this.
Yeah, I can tell he's flirting with it. Michael, would you be willing?
Sure, I'll give it a try.
Okay, let's give a big round of applause for Michael, for his confidence, for his willingness. I'm gonna spotlight you, Michael. Okay, there we go. Oh, big on my screen. Okay. Okay. So you have a minute or so to speak to us, and I want to remind you of the things we worked on in the first section about breathing, about the releasing tension, that feeling of expansion, and of the feeling of relief, right? That sigh of relief. So you can go ahead and take a sigh of relief now. Right, no pressure, right? No pressure. We're really looking forward to hearing your voice and getting to know you more. Yeah, I'll give you a wave when you get to a minute and a half.
Okay.
Let's give him a big round of applause.
Nice. Well, thank you. Appreciate the opportunity. So what I do for a living is commercial real estate for a life insurance company, and we invest in real estate on behalf of the life insurance company. We look at all different property types, so industrial, office, retail, apartments, and a lot of other little ones that kind of fall underneath those categories across the entire United States. So lots of different markets. One of my favorite parts of the job is being able to travel to the different markets and just get to know the dynamics of each one. So say, what's your favorite neighborhood in that market? And do you think this is a good place where people would want to live or work? And that really can help guide your decisions in investing in real estate, and also help see whether or not, if someone's a local developer brings you a project that thinks is interesting in a particular market, being able to understand the neighborhood that they're describing to you by being there, and understanding the dynamics of that market, that can help you get inside their head and determine if it's a good investment or not.
Thank you, Michael. A big round of applause. Thank you, thank you. And so as I check in with Michael, everybody flood him in the chat box with appreciations. What qualities did you see in him? What do you feel that he did really well? Okay, so Michael, how was that for you?
It was good. Yeah, it was, again, I struggle with trying to figure out what exactly to talk about, to be honest, but yeah, it was good. I tried to keep my pace under control and stay calm, but I think I probably need some work on breathing and that sort of thing. And I think I was leaning into the camera as my speech went on. So yeah.
Great. Let's see what people say. Christina, yay. Great job, Michael. You were calm and clear. Janet, fantastic, Michael. Sandra developed a story arc. I agree. There was a nice, complete story there. Janet seemed intelligent, calm, and connected. Suzanne, I liked hearing about what you enjoy about the work you do. Great job. Marcella, great. You seemed collected and in flow with your words. Sonia seemed well-versed on the topic. Definitely seemed like an expert. My husband is actually a commercial real estate agent, so I care about this kind of stuff all the time.
Oh, cool.
So you definitely sounded like an expert in this topic. It was great to see you in your flow and on topic, like you were just flowed with it. So in terms of not knowing what to say, that is probably up in your head, because once you started flowing, you had plenty to say. You could have kept going, I could tell. Yeah. And in terms of nervousness, what I noticed was that there was just a little bit of holding yourself small, or like not tension, but just not moving, right? There's just sort of stillness that might be a way to feel safer. Because I wonder, have you ever tried to move while you're speaking? Does it feel awkward, or do you get sort of shaky? What happens when you move while you're speaking?
Yeah, I don't do a lot of that, so I should give that a try. Sometimes I use my hands, but not often.
Yeah, so that could be something to explore, Michael, is that yes, you could lean back a little bit into your strong spine. There's more about power poses and strong posture in the mini course that I gave you guys earlier, so that you're lifted up through your spine. Can we do that now? Everybody all together, lift it up through your spine. Yeah, Oh, there, look at him already. Big, like big difference already. Do you feel a difference just sitting up a little taller?
I do, yeah. Yep.
Isn't that interesting?
Mhm.
It's one small change. Your chest is more open, your shoulders look broader. Yeah, great. And you even have a little smile that comes under your face from that. Huge change. Yeah. And then what if you lifted your arms up just right now? Like as we're talking, can you just lift your arms up, move them around? Yeah, like just pretending to make gestures. Yeah, here's my hands. Yeah. A tiny virtual speaking tip that I think everybody needs to know is if your camera frame goes down to about your waist, then we can see your hands. So right now we're cut off about here, so we can't see your hands. So if you were to move
Oh,
your hands, we would be wondering what your hands are doing. So that could be a small change that you could make to support this movement thing, that you could be seen.
gotcha.
Yeah.
So get further back from the camera is what you're saying.
Yeah, and I don't know what your setup is, but you could turn it downwards. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, even a little more. There it is. Yeah, we can see more of you. Great. And so as we go back into this for 30 seconds or so, what I really want you to focus on is similar to Christina. Can you take some deeper breaths that feel more nourishing and relaxing for you? And I noticed you were taking a lot of shallow breaths. You were breathing, of course, but shallowly. Yeah.
Hmm.
So take a deep breath here, even while you're spotlighted. Let the pressure off. Yeah, I noticed your shoulders relaxed a lot. That was great. Good, good. So can you speak to us for 30 seconds or so, and I'll hold up the card again for you to breathe deep.
Okay. Well, one topic that has come up in commercial real estate is the work from home that COVID has forced a lot of people to do, and it's uh, it's a it's in the office space, and people are wondering what could that do to valuations for those assets? Could the values of those assets actually decrease going forward? And have we seen those values react enough to this new dynamic? But to offset that, there are pockets of strength, such as industrial, which I'm very familiar with our Amazon delivery person, which is coming from an industrial warehouse. So obviously, probably a lot of us are, and that's driven a lot of demand for industrial.
Good, good, good. Great. Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you so much for trying, some new techniques. And what did you guys see was different in him? Give him some feedback. How was this different for you, Michael?
Yeah, I think I really like the ability or to try to remember to breathe, and I don't have to race to get to the end of what I'm trying to say. I find myself doing that a lot at work. I'm afraid that someone's going to jump in and cut me off and I won't be able to finish my thought. I think that's one fear, but anyway, I think it's very helpful. I noticed when I first did my first breath, it was so kind of new to me that I actually lost my train of thought a little bit.
Yeah.
But anyway, take some practice, but I thought that was helpful.
Good. Yeah, you're totally right. When you're learning something new with the speaking stuff, it's going to bring up more self-consciousness at first because it's going to take more self-awareness. And so that means you have to slow down a little bit more to really get it. And then eventually what we want it to become is a muscle memory that you don't have to think about it and it happens. Yeah. So that's what we'd be working towards. And I hear you about being cut off. Especially when we're introverts, we're going to be more likely to be cut off because we'll need more time to find our thought. We might talk more slowly if we are really in rhythm with ourselves. Yet, what you can work to do, Michael, which I think you're getting closer to or towards, is holding this sense of tension in the space that people are anticipating what you're about to say, this sense of positive tension. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah. What is an example of how you hold that positive tension?
Well, you did it beautifully that you had these purposeful pauses in
Okay.
between what you were saying. And if you think back, I've been doing this the whole workshop. I talk slowly. I have pauses in the middle of my sentences. You're anticipating what I'm about to say and hanging on my words.
Okay.
Make sense?
It does. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the other thing I want to say is I noticed as soon as you breathe more deeply, your voice drops down maybe 2 or 3 notes a little deeper into your chest.
Huh,
Pretty cool.
okay. Yeah.
Which gives you more authority and just how it sounds and feels. So let's see what everybody else said. Suzanne, I liked hearing about what you enjoy about, oh, that's earlier. That's from earlier. Suzanne, you seemed more comfortable and relaxed. Sandra, calmer and more collected. Yes. Sonia, I feel like he was more connected to what he was saying. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Christina, you were very calm and sounded like an expert. Yeah. Awesome. Great progress here. Thank you so much for taking the risk to come into the spotlight. Was
Sure.
it worth
Yeah,
it?
it was. Yeah. Thanks for the feedback. Really appreciate it.
No problem. Okay, let's give Michael a last round of applause. Very good. Good. All right. All right, everybody. So we're coming to our first or our last section here of things to work on. And this section is all about harnessing nonverbal communication, which we've already talked about the importance of nonverbal communication. And I want to just say that nonverbal communication is a huge topic, huge, that can get very technique oriented with public speaking. Like I have a program all about learning nonverbal communication because it's so big. What are some examples of nonverbal communication? Put that into the chat box. What are some examples of nonverbal communication with your speaking? Eye contact. Yes, Christina, it's a big one, right? Where we're looking. Your smile, your facial expression, your posture, yes. Or not making eye contact, yeah. Pacing, yes. Tempo, body language, hand movements. And don't forget everything about your voice as well. The tone of voice, the volume, the cadence of your voice. Is your breathing shallow? That's part of nonverbal communication too. There's so much, including actually what you wear and your background, like this, or the like room you're in, is part of nonverbal communication. But we don't have as much control over those things sometimes. And so we're going to focus on your body language and your voice. They really are what people are responding to. So when you warm yourself up for a speaking opportunity or for an important high stakes communication moment, it's really, really important to warm up your nonverbal communication, like way, way more than your content. Go back to what Michael was saying before, like instead of cramming over your content, do things to warm up your body, your voice, get your mind really present, get your nervous system relaxed. These are the things that are going to make the biggest difference to reduce anxiety. And as an introvert, to raise your energy level, no matter if you feel low energy and tired in the first place. Now, that doesn't mean you won't need to do recovery things afterwards if you're tired, right? You're still going to need to do recovery things afterwards, but this will help you make the shift from everyday life where you're sort of lower energy to the high stakes moment where you're going to be extroverting. But what we're going to do is learn a speaker's warm-up routine together, or go through it together in just a moment. And what we'll need in order to do this is a space where you can stand up. Do you have a space you can stand up in? What would you need to adjust right now in order to stand up? Yeah, so make that adjustment now. I'm going to stand up. Okay. All right. And this is a pretty big change. Like, I don't care if your head's cut off too, Christina, that's totally fine. Totally fine. Just as long as you can stand up and still hear me and see me. Okay. So this is a big transition that we just made from seated and this like very comfortable sort of safe position of being a attendee and a listener. Now you're standing up and it feels more exposed, right? So go ahead and relax your arms beside you. Roll your shoulders back and take a few breaths to just get used to standing. Just get used to this transition that you just made. I think this is the most important first shift to make in a warm-up routine is you go from seated to standing. This shifts from internal mode to being more ready for external mode. Yeah? We're going to touch in with the things that we did before just so you know how to do them in a little faster pace. So even with your eyes open, connecting with me here, with us here, notice your physical body. Give a scan of your physical body. How's your physical body doing today? How's your physical body feel standing up? How's your mental body? Is your mind racing? What's your mental state right now? How's your emotional body? What emotions do you have present right now? And how's your overall energy 1 to 10? You know? We'll put some of these exercises together. So you're going to take a deep breath in, a slow, steady breath in through your nose. Open mouth, sigh out the mouth. Releasing. Inhale through the nose. And out the mouth. You can start to get a little bit more sound going now. Inhale through the nose. And out the mouth, release. Good. And shake off the body, shake the arms, especially we're at our computers all day now. So let your arms, your wrists shake out. And shake out your legs. My feet shake. And then get a little shimmy shake of the whole spine, the torso, all those areas where you might feel tension around this upcoming opportunity. We're going to shake all that off and be really loose. Nice. Oh, that's a nice shake, Sonia. That was some serious shaking. Good, good, good. Okay, so back to center here over your 2 feet. Take a deep breath and root your feet down. Feel that sense of grounding in your feet. Pay attention to your feet for a moment. You feel your feet on the ground, even weight over your feet. No gripping of your toes, no falling side to side or backwards. Really even weight over your feet. Nice. Okay. And now come into what's called a power pose. We're going to take the arms up overhead in this is often called a victory pose, a posture that every human being, even if they're blind, goes into when they have achieved something and feel victorious. So I want you to practice feeling victorious and like a success even before you go into a situation, right? You're going to try on that feeling. Your chest is lifted, your chin is a little lifted. You can imagine a crown on the top of your head. Yes, you're standing up into that crown. Take a deep breath here. Open your eyes to see into your room, not just the computer, but the rest of the room. We're going to add our voice in here with some power phrases. And these are phrases like affirmations that will speak to the mindset you want to bring into this important communication. Just follow me for now, but you can always come up with your own. Yeah? Deep breath in. I am confident. Yeah? I believe in myself. When I speak, others listen. When I speak, I know what I have to say. I am comfortable fully expressing myself. And my full expression is received by others. Yes, good. Shake it off, let the arms relax. Lots of big smiles I see there. Awesome, good work. The last thing we're gonna do is gonna wake up your mind-mouth connection, which is a real thing. Like when you wake up in the morning and you mess up your words a little bit, like jumbled. Yeah, we need to wake up the mind-mouth connection. We're going to do some fun tongue twisters to wake up that connection. You can find some great tongue twisters on Google. I'll just do a few of my favorites. So deep breath in, unique New York. Yes, really punch those K sounds. Unique New York. Now 10 times fast. Ready? Unique New York, 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 unique New York. Good job. Okay, another tongue twister that has slightly different sounds. Aluminum linoleum. Yeah. Aluminum linoleum. 10 times fast. Aluminum linoleum, 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 aluminum linoleum. Did you get a little tongue-tied? Yeah, so we're waking up that connection. Can your mouth and your mind work together? Last one, this is a fun one, a little bit longer. This will go line by line. The rover arrived at the river. Yeah. The river arrived with a roar. The ravine that the river had riven made it roaring reverberate more. Lots of R sounds in here, lots of open vowels. We'll do this one more time. Have fun with these sounds. Let your body move with it. This is part of waking up your nonverbal communication, is that the river arrived with a roar. Let it be dramatic, yeah? Totally exaggerated here so that you bring that full expression into your opportunity to speak, yeah? The rover arrived with the river. The river arrived with a roar. Yeah, nice, Sonia. The ravine that the river had riven made it roaring reverberate more. Good, good, good. And then this is when you might rehearse something from your presentation, or like go over some questions that you think you might be asked, or speak some things out loud that you'd like to put into your body, so that it's not just a heady activity, it's actually something physical and vocal. Yeah? All right, good work. Let's come back to seated, come back to connecting here, and I really want to hear how this was for you. How was this for you guys? Janet, were you about to say something?
It was fun. It was fun, and it was playful, and it was actually relaxing and enjoyable.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, great. And I just see such a big smile on your face and bright eyes. I see that in almost everybody. Brighter eyes, like more awake face, which is actually exactly what we want. That you just transitioned from introverted to extroverted mode. Yeah, really good work. What else did you notice? How was this for you? Anybody want to share? I'd be so curious to hear. Okay, okay.
I love the
Back to-
affirmations. Those were nice.
Oh, good. Yeah. Make up your own, right? Whatever you need to hear. Okay. Do you feel like you could do this routine on your own? Yeah. The key is to do it. Yeah. You can do it once with me and know that it's a good idea, but if you don't actually do it when you need it, you won't get the results. You won't reduce anxiety, your nonverbal communication won't be more effective. You have to actually do it on a regular basis. So, I do these kind of warm-ups pretty much every weekday, because I'm with clients and phone calls and speaking gigs a lot. So I know that I have to make that transition a lot. Do this whenever you need it. And it probably takes 5 minutes. It doesn't have to take very long. Any questions about implementing this? Yeah, Suzanne.
What was the second tongue twister? I know I've got.
Oh, yeah.
I really like those.
Well, like I said, you can.
Unique New York. What was the second one?
Aluminum linoleum. Yeah, and you can just Google tongue twisters and you'll find hundreds of fun things to say. So, keep it new, keep it fresh with those, because if you stick with the same ones, you'll get too good at them. Try new ones.
Okay. Thank you.
Of course. All right. Well, we're going to start to wrap up slowly. I'm going to be inviting you to a next step in a moment. And also we're going to be exploring what you got out of this workshop. I hope you learned something today. Did you learn something new? Yeah, I'm going to bring us back to the screen share in a moment so that we can talk about what you learned today. Let me get to the right page here. There we go. Okay. So these are the things we worked on today. This is an opportunity to reflect. Where do you need to grow? Do you need to master nervous system regulation? Really take the emergency out of your body and your nervous system. Do you need to really master your authenticity and that personal visibility cycle with managing your energy? Where do you need to grow? Do you really need to work on nonverbal communication and being more extroverting sometimes with your nonverbals? Take that moment to reflect now and clarify for yourself going forward from this workshop where you want to put your energy to apply and implement the things you learned today. I'll give you a minute or so to reflect about that and then check in. So what have been your biggest takeaways and what are the things that you really need to work on? Anybody like to share that? Christina.
I think the takeaway for me really was like the posture and like sitting my shoulders over my hips and sitting back. So really strategic tips here. And then just in reflection, definitely need to work on my nervous system regulation. I think that's the one that really throws me right off the bat.
Yeah, good awareness. Thank you. Sonia, were you about to unmute?
Yeah, I think the major one's the nervous system regulation, just so I'm not like kind of leaving my body as I'm speaking, just kind of calming my nerves first and getting more in touch with my body and my voice. And I like the warm-ups that we did.
Oh, good. Yay. Yeah, do more of that. Great. Anybody else?
I think for me, I got a lot about understanding the nonverbal communication and how important that is. I spent hours preparing what I'm going to say, content, how to put together, organize it, and never think about really how it's being presented, who's presenting it.
Yes. Good. I'm so glad you got that. That's actually a fundamental shift around public speaking that I want everybody to get. That's like my mission in this world is for people to understand that nonverbal communication is what's actually impacting audiences. That's huge. Yeah. So glad you got that. Okay. So with this awareness, what if I could help you with these things? Overcome anxiety in these ways. Yeah. Of course, that's what I do. That's what I focus my programs on. And so I'd like to invite you to what I think would be a really natural next step from this work, which is the Fully Expressed program. I mentioned that earlier, which is created to support introverted women and men to relax into their authentic presence, express through your body and voice fully, claim the power of your voice, your value and your impact. That's what this program is all about. And like I said, it'd be a really natural next step from this work that we did today to go deeper into all the things that we worked on, go deeper into nervous system regulation, to really claim your authentic voice and to know how to use your nonverbal communication to fully express. Yeah. Let me tell you a little bit about what's in the program and you can get a sense if it's a fit for you. Yeah. the big piece of the program is the one-on-one coaching support, where I'll take you by the hand and support you to transform, whoops, that's a typo, anxiety into confidence, so that you can speak from your authentic voice and then inspire others, right? Because it's not just about us ultimately, like, let's get out of our anxiety enough to send our message out into the world. And I want to highlight that I support people to do this without rehearsing talks or without robotic public speaking skills, which is in a lot of public speaking trainings out there, a lot of like robotic technique oriented stuff. When you're experiencing more performance anxiety, like we talked about today, is not the moment to focus too much on technique for like actual speaking skills. The speaking skills will trigger you more. And so we need to back up a few steps before we get to the speaking skills. And so that's what this program is made for. Of course, you're going to get expert feedback and laser coaching so you know exactly what to focus on, and you have accountability to accomplish your goals to finally overcome fears of visibility. Also, as part of this program is a virtual course that has 6 modules of proven practices, and this is just an example of the first 3. Module 1, relaxed expression. This is where we really work on the nervous system regulation. Module 2, authentic expression, where you unpack that old conditioning, which we started with today, but we would go a lot deeper. And that goes into authentic voice and personal story. And then going into vocal expression, using your voice as an instrument, learning to release through your voice. Like I said, your voice is a way that we let things out versus hold them in. And it just builds from there with physical expression, emotional expression, and then integrating into really confident expression by the end of the program. And the last piece of this program is the monthly speaker showcase. Sort of like this workshop, actually, where it's a practice in a group, right? You receive feedback and laser coaching and support in a safe environment to practice being visible. Yes, I feel that everybody needs to practice more in order to overcome performance anxiety, but I also have seen if they practice only in high stakes situations, then they're actually re-traumatized over and over again. So it's better for you to practice in a low stakes situation like this support call, this showcase call, you know, and get the practice in without being totally triggered. Yeah. I want to tell you about Chelsea, who went through this program. She's amazing. She founded this company called Smith & Star. She had to speak to all these, you know, what are they called? Investors, star investors, something. Anyway, the word is blanking. You know, all these investors to start her company, and she was diverting to her business partner. She didn't want to go out there and do it, but she's the founder of this, you know, she wanted to get her voice out there. And so she committed to doing warm-up routines. She committed to unpacking her old conditioning around being shy and introverted, and was able to definitely get the funding. That happened easily. And then was, for the last few years, out there with this business, social media, videos. She did so many interviews, growing this business, which was a passion project of hers. So I know that if you want to get your voice out there, it's totally possible. So to find out more and join, all you have to do is schedule a consult call with me. And this call is a no pressure call. It's an exploration call where you can ask your questions, get to know each other more, and really explore if this is a good fit for you, because I don't accept anybody into the program that I don't know that I could help. Yeah, and that's why I get such great results with my clients, because I only take people in that I know I can make a difference with, which is why I want to get on the phone with you and make sure. Yeah, I'm going to put this link into the chat box now. Go ahead and grab that link from the chat box and just put it in your browser so that you have it. Grab it. It's just chatwithjulia.com. It's a really easy link. So if there's any part of you that feels like this could possibly be a fit, let's hop on the phone and explore. And extra bonus, just because you came out, and I'm so thankful to get to know you through this. It's been so much fun. I think you guys are so awesome. I'm just going to bonus in my mini course package. I mentioned that a little bit earlier. The impromptu speaking is in there. There's more about nerves and panic, and and a whole course on virtual speaking skills. So I'm just going to bonus that in if you choose to join by May 15th. And I want to tell you about Linnea, who, oh gosh, when she came to me, she was She was very much in her role at work in the shadows of things and in the background, and very shy. She tended to, somebody said this earlier, giggle and laugh to sort of avoid the spotlight, and so sweet and so passionate about what she did. What she really wanted when we explored it was to be a trainer. She wanted to be in the spotlight, yet she was really stopping herself with it. And so as we worked on her taking up space more, and her finding her fullest voice and then improvising about the topics she was passionate about, she started to show up in meetings with that energy, with that presence, and was seen as a natural fit for the trainer role. And she got that. She's been doing that for about a year now. So awesome. Look at this picture. This is her picture for the training, like the list of trainers on their website. She got a new photo. She's so bold and fierce. She really came out of her shell. And so I know that if you have a promotion that you're wanting to be seen as a natural fit for, this program can really help with that. Oh, whoops. Again, to find out more, just schedule a consult with me. And I know people are clicking around and doing that right now. Make sure to go through that calendar system. There's a really short little survey, and then you can pick a time to talk with me, and we'll explore if this is a good fit for you. It'd be a pleasure to continue this journey with you from this workshop. I'll tell you one last story as people are scheduling. This really sums it all up, I think. Kimberly launched her coaching business. This was actually 4 or 5 years ago. She launched her coaching business, but she was trying to do it through YouTube videos, and she was filming one video, taking one whole day to film it, like 15 to 20 takes. It was excruciating and so up in her head about, oh, I don't like that video. How did I look? Did I say the wrong thing? And she just recorded again. It was a time suck, of course, but also just left her feeling very unconfident. And so I worked with her to flow with her content more, trust her authentic voice, as well as to do practices that got her aligned with her confidence before she pressed start, on the video. Now she films in one take. I talked to her actually last fall, filmed in one take. She's blown up her YouTube channel, blown up her coaching business, wrote a book. It's like she's off the charts. And then I also found out last week that she left a toxic relationship at that time that I didn't even know about, because she found her voice to speak up. So this work can go into all aspects of our life and really can fuel your confidence in all areas. All right, well, I look forward to talking to you guys more about your journey. And I'm going to bring myself off of screen share here, bring us back. I have a last moment to connect. All right, so I'm going to be here for Q&A for the next 10 to 15 minutes, but let's unmute for a last moment here all together. Unmute, 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 to say a big thank you and goodbye and any appreciation that you have, all at the same time. Ready? We're all going to speak at the same time. Whatever you want to say, goodbye, hello, thank you, whatever. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much for being here. It was so great to be here. You're all really sweet. Yeah. All right. So if you have to hop off, I totally understand, but I'm also here to answer any questions and whatever reflections you had that came up during the workshop. Yeah, Michael.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. You're welcome.
See ya.
See you. So great for you to come out, Christina. Yeah, thanks, Sandra.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm late for meeting, but thank you so much.
Okay, take care. Bye. And Janet, you look so familiar to me. I feel like we've met somewhere else.
And like I was just gonna say, Christina, you look so familiar to me.
I know, you look familiar to me.
But how? I've done trainings all over the country for the last 20 years, and you're in Virginia?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm in Charlottesville, Virginia.
Wow. Okay. And where did you do your yoga training?
Well,
we can take it offline.
Was there any questions about the workshop? Anybody hanging around with thoughts or questions they wanted to share?
I just want to say thank you. This was really great. I appreciated it, and yeah, I love what you're doing. So keep doing this. It's awesome. So thank you.
Yay! Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is, if we work with you, do you work with groups or is it one-on-one? Is it kind
Well,
of
like it was shared, it's a combination, right? There was the one-on-one piece, and then there was also the monthly group piece.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Of course. Yeah. And Marcella, anything that you wanted to share or ask?
I think I feel a little overwhelmed by it all, but it's really good to know where to put the energy,
Mm.
and know that this is a good foundation to work on, to be able to flow with my passion more.
Oh,
So
good.
I thank you. I think it's good. It's good. And I will definitely think about the consultation, because it would be very helpful.
Yeah, let's talk more. Yeah, for sure. I'd like to get to know you more too, for sure. I'd like to hear more about what you do. And I hear you about the overwhelm. So take time for this all to digest, and it'll become clear.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Take care.